Well, sadly, the minute's silence interrupted before it had quite finished. The referee very sensibly taking control, blowing the whistle. You could hear the interruption booed by other fans inside the ground. But I was just going to say, football, as ever, when you consider tragedies like that and what other people are going through, when that sort of thing strikes, absolutely pales into insignificance. And our thoughts, as the announcement said on the tannoy inside the Etihad Stadium tonight, very much with all of those affected. This is 5 Live and BBC Sounds. The Champions League is back this week. Full commentary of Manchester City against Red Star Belgrade about to begin. The lights having been dimmed, are back to full blast, and the figure that immediately catches your eye as you look out across the halfway line, Manchester City's big number 9, hair tied back, shirt untucked, 12 goals in the competition last season. Erling Haaland stands on the centre circle. We've kicked off. Red Star try and build a move down the right-hand side, and the ball ends up in the gloves of Ederson. The European champions then at the start of their defence line up as follows tonight. Ederson in goal, a back four of Kyle Walker, Ruben Dias, Nathan Ake and Sergio Gomez. The young Spaniard starts at left back. Mateus Nunes makes a first start for the club in midfield alongside Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Julian Alvarez and Phil Foden in support of the man I mentioned, Erling Haaland. And there is Foden on the ball with his left foot, gets it out to Gomez on the left-hand side. Manchester City trying to settle into an early rhythm. Pep Guardiola in the dark suit, immediately out on the edge of the pitch with hands in pockets. Bernardo Silva wide on the right, and I'll get you through the Red Star team in just a second. Kyle Walker strokes a pass with his right foot to Silva. Silva into the inside right channel. Alvarez stretches, can't quite control it. So Hwang, the South Korean international, making his first start for Red Star, gets them moving away down the left. Another summer signing is the Senegalese number 9, Sheriff Njai. He goes down, wants a free kick and doesn't get it, and Bernardo Silva calmly strokes the ball back to Nathan Ake. Chris.
Njai is going to be really important for Red Star tonight. The centre forward being that focal point, get them up the pitch, but Diaz winning that first duel. Interesting Manchester City's setup, isn't it, with Silva out on that right hand side. They're so fluid, but Phil Foden in as one of the 3 central midfielders at present.
Here's Gomez on the left. Manchester City in the light blue shirts, white shorts and light blue socks, dominating possession in the early stages. No surprise at all, coming up to a couple of minutes played, and Pep Guardiola shows his first sign of frustration at a misplaced pass. Kyle Walker goes scurrying back to collect it. Here is Mateus Nunes, signed from Wolves in the summer. A couple of seasons ago was playing for Sporting against Manchester City in the Champions League. And here he is on the big stage again. City in on the left. Rodri's little cutback volleyed high behind the Red Star goal. And Manchester City win their first corner.
Yeah, and there's your holding midfielder making a forward run to the byline. Nice little pass from Gomez, slipped in, and Rodri pulled a left-footed cross into the box, but defended well at the near post.
Cheeky little dink from Rodri. Corner for Manchester City will come in from their left flank. Erling Haaland, 3 other players just behind him on the penalty spot looking to make their runs. It goes short, then it's whipped in by Gomez. Powerful header is way too high, and over the crossbar it goes, so that will be a goal kick to Red Star. Omri Glazer, the Israeli, is their goalkeeper. Back 3, Nasser Jigger makes a debut for the club tonight, on loan from FC Basel. Big night for him. Alexander Dragovic, Austrian international, has won 100 caps for his country, alongside him to try and help him through.
He had a spell at Leicester, didn't he?
He did. Yeah. He did. Milan Rodic is the left-sided centre-back, former Serbian international. Sheriff Njai, challenged by Ruben Dias, goes down and wins the free kick. Srdjan Mihailovic over on the right-hand side of a midfield 4. Hwang in bomb, we've mentioned. First start for the club in central midfield. Looking forward to seeing the young New Zealand international who wears number 6, Marko Stamanic, also in central midfield. There's a Mitrovic in the team, but it's not that one. Young Stefan Mitrovic will play on the left-hand side. Osman Bukhari, the Ghanaian, and Mirko Ivanic in support of the central striker, Sheriff Njai. 5 Live and BBC Sounds, 4 minutes in. AC Milan 0, Newcastle 0, Young Boys 1, Leipzig 3 earlier on in this group, and we'll keep you updated with all the other goals as they go in, and I can see a few already have done, so as soon as I get a second I will update you on those. Manchester City possession though. Ruben Dias comes trotting forward, ball at his feet, no pressure on him, so he just skulks his way across the halfway line. Kyle Walker tucked about 20 yards infield, making ground towards the penalty area. Mateus Nunes, Walker again, down by the byline on the right, drives a low cross in, sliding challenge on him. That was so easy, Chris, to get in.
It was, and it was an underlap from Kyle Walker, who I think is just about playing the best football of his career. Nunes, a ball out to Silva on the right-hand touchline. Walker made the run near the byline. That cross again, cut out well at the near post.
Swansea 1-up at QPR in the Championship. Corner for Manchester City, comes in from the right, headed away to the edge of the box. Foden decides to lob it straight back up in the air. Ake underneath it, tries to get the volley away, and then the ball is just swung away through the right boot of Giga and goes out for a throw-in to Manchester City on the left.
Yeah, they're happy to pop the ball in from the couple of corners which they've had, Manchester City. But what Red Star do have on their side is good physicality. They're a big, strong, tall team. The Manchester City will be innovative.
Erling Haaland's dropped a bit deeper to get a move going. Nice ball from Mateus Nunes. Alvarez in the pocket. Bernardo Silva back to Mateus Nunes. Then Rodri, little touch with his left boot, gets him away from his marker. Comes across to Mateus Nunes again, gets it back from Silva, gets his head up. Wide on the right, just about level with the edge of the Red Star penalty area, and Bernardo Silva's low ball into Alvarez, who sensed the challenge was coming there and just tried to take a dainty little touch to take him round the defender, and he's lost it. Bristol City lead Plymouth by 2-0 in the Championship, so they've scored 2 in 8 minutes. Cardiff are 1-up on Coventry. Portsmouth 3-0 up away to Barnsley in League One, and the leaders Port Vale behind at home against Burton. You're up to date with all the other goals that have gone in so far this evening. Red Star have played it long, and Sergio Gomez is able to side foot one back to the goalkeeper Edison. Manchester City have won their Champions League group in the last 6 seasons. They've not failed to reach the knockout stages of this competition since the 2012-13 season under Roberto Mancini, when they were really just getting going in terms of finding their feet in this competition. They finished bottom of that group without a win behind Dortmund, Madrid and Ajax. They are now, of course, the European champions, and everyone fears them. Edison clips the ball out to Walker. It skids in front of him. He controls it, plays it down the line. Neat little turn from Mateus Nunes, and some of the Manchester City fans applaud that around us, and he sees space ahead of him and he keeps going. Slick pass to his left-hand side. Alvarez plays it out to Gomez, low cross into the near post, cleared away by Giga. Very slick.
Yeah, it's wonderful from Edison at the back, who is under a little bit of pressure but never seems to panic one end to the other.
Here's Rodri, central position, 35 yards out. The pattern of the game is already set. Red Stars fans in good voice away to our right, enjoying the occasion. Back in the Champions League for the first time in 4 seasons, the Serbian champions, and Rodri again showing all his skills wide on the right-hand side. Finds Diaz behind him. Foden in the sort of number 10 role, gets on the ball, plays it back to Ake. Red Star have every single player behind the ball. There's Foden again. Lays it off here to Walker. Walker side foots a crisp pass to Rodri. Rodri finds Bernardo Silva in space on the right, in the box, cross into the near post, headed behind. It's another Manchester City corner.
They're really utilising the wide areas very, very well. That's about the 3rd time a Manchester City player has got to the byline in a good crossing position, but they just can't miss that near post man out for Red Star.
Corner then. Taken short by Alvarez to Gomez. Gomez on his left foot, rolls it along the turf to Bernardo Silva. Finds Phil Foden, one touch, lines up the shot and gets underneath it and fizzes it over the bar. Takes a slight deflection though, and actually even before Phil Foden appealed for the corner, the referee was pointing to the corner flag.
Well, I wondered whether they'd take a short one, try something different with their 3rd corner. It's actually decent opportunity for Foden, who got a little bit lucky actually. I think the ball was heading well over the bar anyway. It's a hit Njai, I think, on the top of the head.
So are you saying this is their fourth corner already? Can I put you in?
Their fourth.
Can I put you in charge of counting corners tonight?
I better start writing them down.
Oh, I trust you, Chris. No, don't do that.
I could run out of ink.
Concentrate. Porto won up at Shakhtar, I see, in the Champions League in one of the 8 o'clock kickoffs tonight. Corner curled in, an away swinger headed away. Foden cushions a neat little pass to Bernardo Silva. Back it comes to Kyle Walker, just inside the Red Star half. Plays it across to Rodri, and Rodri decides to give the goalkeeper Ederson a touch. It could be a quiet night for him, but Chris Sutton certainly won't have anyone writing Red Star off. You wouldn't do it on the Monday Night Club last night, and you won't do it this evening. And look, they've just won the ball off Manchester City here, and there's Hwang curling a pass out to Njai. Poor first touch from him. Gives it to Diaz. Diaz, though, plays a loose pass out to the left, and Red Star get it back.
Well, that was an opportunity for Red Star 2v2, but here's an opportunity for Manchester City.
Yeah, Foden's pinched it off Stamanic, and Foden senses blood here. Plays in Haaland. Foden's gone down edge of the box. Play continues. Haaland is forced wide down to the byline. He rolls a pass back to Rodri. Played across to Matheus Nunes. Foden's made a little run on the turn, clips the volley wide, and behind it goes for a goal kick. Chris Sutton.
Oh, blimey, Foden. A little bit unlucky there. Broke the play up really well in the middle of the park, stealing the ball off Stamanic, and then he was heavy with his pass to Haaland out wide, and as the ball's worked to Rodri and clipped over, it's like elastic, wasn't he, Foden? Getting that lanky left leg up and trying an overhead kick. Not quite there.
Red Star have cleared the ball from their goal kick, and they've managed to win themselves a throw-in just short of the halfway line on the right. Pep Guardiola has retreated to the comfort of the dugout. We had light rain ahead of kickoff. There's been a lot of rain in Manchester this evening.
They watered the pitch as well.
And they were watering the pitch heavily before the game. Matheus Nunes trying to win a 50-50 inside the Manchester City half. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. 10 minutes in. Sheriff Njai, the Red Star centre forward, has the ball at his feet. Plays it to his left to Stefan Mitrovic, the 21-year-old winger. He flicks it into the shins of Kyle Walker.
Oh, that's a terrible decision, isn't it?
Well, hang on, it came off Walker and went behind, so I thought corner. Walker was trying to win a free kick for a little tug on him.
That's why it's a terrible decision, because it's been given as a goal kick.
Terrible decision, Chris.
And that's where you feel Red Star, would have an opportunity against this Manchester City team. You can't see them playing through Manchester City, but set plays. A sizable team. Pep was talking about their size and aggression.
Plymouth have a goal back at Ashton Gate. Bristol City 2, Plymouth 1. Matheus Nunes has been clipped inside his own half. Preston Birmingham got underway at 7:45. Lee Blakeman's at Deepdale.
It's 0-0. Preston should be ahead though. Brad Potts through on goal, 8 yards out. Just the keeper to beat. Put it wide of the target. Preston should be ahead, but it's still Preston 0, Birmingham 0.
Coming up to 12 minutes played here at the Etihad Stadium. Another Manchester City attack is building. Here's Matheus Nunes on the right-hand side of midfield. Plays a little 1-2 with Foden. Foden continues his run to the right. Foden enjoying himself this evening, you sense. Matheus Nunes decides to hold on to the ball. Stamanic has a couple of nibbles at him, but he's not going to lose that one. Little 1-2 with Ake. Then they go again, and Rodri driving through the heart of midfield. Finds Ake speeding up alongside him on the left. Wide to Gomez. His cross is blocked, and out it goes for a throw to the South Coast in the Championship. Southampton-Ipswich, Sahel Sahi.
25 minutes play, Southampton 0, Ipswich 0. This is a good watch. Both sides going for it. 2 half chances for Southampton. Adam Armstrong and Shea Adams both hitting the side netting. Southampton 0, Ipswich 0.
Shakhtar equaliser against Porto. That's 1-1. Joao Felix, I see, has scored. It's Felix, actually, isn't it? That would be a pronunciation buzzer for me. Joao Felix, Chris, has scored for Barcelona against Royal Antwerp. Barcelona 1, Royal Antwerp 0. Free kick for Manchester City, taken short. Rodri gets it from Diaz, plays his pass to Matheus Nunes. Guardiola points to the right. Kyle Walker ignores that. Kyle Walker gets the ball back from Matheus Nunes and gives it back to him again, and they're just slowly creeping their way up the pitch, and wide it goes to Bernardo Silva in his bright white boots. Back to Walker. Rodri moves into space this time, 40 yards out. Across it goes to Nathan Ake, trying to pull Red Star from side to side. Ake's little dink ball in is just over Haaland's head. He didn't even start the jump because he knew he wasn't going to get there. Red Star clear it as far as Walker. Walker to Alvarez to Ake and on to Gomez. Wide on the left-hand side. Possession in Manchester City's favour, I think, already almost at 90%.
Well, I think we expected it to be extremely high, didn't we? And they're just trying to move the ball quickly, find a little space or a gap, and work the Red Star defence in midfield. They're actually set up as a back four. Red Star, Rodic is being.
Here's Gomez taking on Mihailovic, who's the right back. Cross comes in, it's beyond everyone. Silva chests it down. Silva's forced away from the edge of the box. Rodri trying to take his time, hold off his man, onto his right foot, drives it straight at the keeper with real power. It's palm behind for the Chris Sutton corner count. Decent save, actually.
It was a very good save. It was actually from a similar shooting position, I think, from where Rodri scored the winner against Inter in the final. But he just uses his strength there. Puts Bakary down on the floor, and he drives the ball straight at the goalkeeper. It's a big left hand, a good left hand. The Israeli goalkeeper gets it round the post.
Manchester City go with the short corner. Foden on the ball, little flick with his left foot. Here's Alvarez. Alvarez thinks about a left-footed cross, then turns away, comes back down the line to Sergio Gomez. Slight slip from him. So Manchester City have lost it. It's played forward to Osman Bakary, the Ghanaian, who moves at speed up to the halfway line, but he's up against Kyle Walker. Holds on to the ball, though, and Stefan Mitrovic has it for Red Star. Taking it to Hillsborough shortly in the Championship, because Sheffield Wednesday Middlesbrough is the battle of the bottom two at the start of this season. So that is an important game. Ball slid forward by Ivanic, the number 4 for Red Star. Back it comes to Stamanic, the 21-year-old New Zealander. His curling pass away to the right, almost intercepted by Haaland. Headed away by Manchester City, and it's ended up back in the Red Star half. Their right-sided centre-back, Giga, floats the diagonal ball. Wide to Mitrovic, he chests it down. Bernardo Silva gets a foot in, but there's Rodic. Rodic's ball into the edge of the area. Gomez heads a bouncing ball down to Rodri, and Rodri immediately tries to bring it away. Phil Foden almost loses that, and back it comes to Nathan Ake. Chris?
I was going to say they've been quite versatile with the setup, Red Star. Rodic sometimes drops in to make it 3 centre-halves, at other times steps into midfield. So really reading the game well. I think Red Star will be absolutely delighted with the start, first 15-16 minutes. They've been really disciplined. Just that one effort so far from Rodri and Manchester City, but Manchester City will just carry on being patient.
Before we go to Hillsborough, there's been a goal at Southampton. Sahel Sahi.
Southampton 0, Ipswich 1, 30 minutes played, given away by the Southampton defence, pounced on by Omari Hutchinson, and a left-footed shot drilled past Gavin Bazunu. Southampton 0, Ipswich 1.
Manchester City start to move forward again. To Hillsborough shortly. Rodri's given the ball away. Gets lucky because the deflection bounces back to Alvarez. Here's Bernardo Silva, teasing defenders. Finds Kyle Walker. Run being made by Foden. Beautifully tickled round the corner here to Alvarez, who hits the shot straight at the goalkeeper, and this time it's a more comfortable save. Poor old Naz Premji's been waiting a long time at Hillsborough. Naz.
Sheffield Wednesday 0, Middlesbrough 0. Paul Valentin with a couple of efforts for the home side on 15 minutes as planned. About 25 tennis balls made their way onto the pitch in that home protest against their owner Dapon Chansiri. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Middlesbrough 0.
Bristol City 3, Plymouth 1, latest in the Championship. What about that little Foden pass around the corner there, Chris?
It was wonderful. Great awareness, and Alvarez, who's playing just off Haaland playing as the central striker, getting the shot off. Good save again.
Bernardo Silva, teasing run down the right, just tries to roll a ball into the penalty area. Mateus Nunes not quite on the same wavelength. The little Foden-Alvarez link-up, sort of reminiscent of Sutton and Larson back in the day, you might say.
Sutton and Shearer.
Sutton and Shearer wasn't bad either, Chris.
Sutton and Akuku.
Yes, also good. Any more?
Sutton and Gallagher.
Alvarez's ball. Oh, Bernardo Silva couldn't quite control it, and the goalkeeper falls gratefully upon it. Talking Celtic, away at Feyenoord in the Champions League tonight, being watched by Connie McLaughlin.
Well, speaking about classic duos for Celtic, Van Hooijdonk and Cadet was one that springs to mind. Pierre Van Hooijdonk watching this one on tonight as well from the sidelines in Rotterdam. It is Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0. Celtic looking confident in this one, to be fair. They don't look like they're going to sit back here. They're trying to press, dictate the play a little bit, and they do seem to be knocking the ball about quite well. well. They've managed to turn Feyenoord once or twice. Feyenoord trying to play out the back a little bit, don't look so confident doing that on the ball. Deza Maeda had a half chance there, should have taken it first time, but it was cleared at the first time of asking. 90 minutes on the clock, Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0.
So that one's 0-0. Manchester City Red Star is 0-0. Edison, I think, getting a bit bored, taking a bit of risk on the edge of his own box. Very nearly lost it, didn't he?
Oh, he knew what he was doing, Bruce. Haaland's hairband just came out for a moment, Yeah.
I wonder whether that was deliberate, but no, he's tied the hair back up again. It was when he took it out, wasn't it? It was against Arsenal last season. Do you remember that? Just before he scored in the win against Arsenal. You don't remember that?
No.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the moments of the season last season. Because he went through and scored with the hair flowing all over the place. Not like Sutton back in the day, obviously.
Certainly couldn't do that now.
Now here come Manchester City again. Matheus Nunes first touch, the ball just gets away from him, and Red Star are holding out at the moment. Manchester City 0, Red Star 0. Bernardo Silva takes the throw. Manchester City have been here so many times before, particularly under Pep Guardiola. In the last 3 seasons, finalists, of course. 3 years ago, lost to Chelsea, then beaten by Real Madrid in the semi-finals, then back in the final last year and won it. Gomez's ball into the far post, headed away. Bernardo Silva, little layoff here to Matheus Nunes, cross into the far post, and Haaland, little stun header, floats wide of the far post and behind for a goal kick.
I tell you what, it's a really poor effort from Erling Haaland. He knows, rueful smile on his face, because he thinks the defender is actually going to win the ball, Giga, and get a touch on it. He doesn't, and Haaland 6 yards out, level with the far post. The ball rebounds off his head. He doesn't direct it towards goal. Missed opportunities against West Ham, a lot of opportunities. You actually weren't unhappy about that?
No, I wasn't. Now I'll explain why in just a second. Chris and I have been spending quite a lot of time together today because we were recording our latest episode of the Fantasy 606 podcast with Pot Royalty, actually, Chris, on the pod this week. If you've not listened before, I tell you what, have a listen this week. It'll come out on Thursday. Chesney Hawkes on the Fantasy 606
from
podcast.
Back in the day. I mean, he's still a superstar.
Yeah. And obsessed with fantasy football. Here's Julian Alvarez, central position, 35 yards out. Support from Ake. Ake plays the ball out wide left to Gomez. Manchester City work it back into a central position. Alvarez drags it to his left. Support from Gomez again. The ball is cut back. One touch from Alvarez. Dummies the shot with the right foot. Back to Kyle Walker. Wouldn't fall for Kyle Walker. Red Star get bodies in the way, and Bakary has got real pace, but not the touch to go with it. Knocks it too far ahead of him, and Ake plays it back to Edison.
He's got to be cleaner there. Bakary in possession. Really clumsy touch, and Manchester City back on the attack.
Back on the attack with Phil Foden. Lovely low pass into the penalty area. And Matheus Nunes very nearly getting the shot away. He got the touch in there, but was tackled well before he was able to pull the trigger.
I think that was Rodic who actually tackled him.
Haaland looking for the through ball from Rodri. Rodri's annoyed with himself that he couldn't play Haaland in, and Haaland's got his hands up to his mouth in sort of mock shock horror there, because he knew what a good chance it was to play him in down the inside right channel.
I mentioned Rodic there. I mean, he's here, there and everywhere. He has been so far. He looks absolutely shattered already. He's only 22 minutes gone.
Manchester City 0, Red Star 0. Here's Foden pulling the strings again. Rodri 25 yards out, tried the clever drag. Didn't quite work. City still have it. Walker's pass intercepted. Bakary again. Can't quite control it. Ake is there. Walker volleys it to his right. All a little bit untidy last couple of minutes, actually. And it's gone out for a Red Star throw.
It is. And it's interesting. With the couple of occasions Red Star have had the ball, Manchester City, with the overloads which they get and players making forward runs, are happy to leave Diaz and Ake 2v2. They can handle those situations.
Rodri playing the ball back into his own half. Stamanic goes chasing. Ake plays it back to Edison. Cardiff 1, Coventry 1 in the Championship. Lewandowski scored for Barcelona. They're already 2-0 up against Royal Antwerp. And our producer George has been busily scribbling down Chris Sutton's strike partners through his career. Alvarez, Foden looking for Haaland. Wouldn't quite fall. Alvarez still there buzzing around. Couldn't get the shot away. Stretching challenge from Rodri, catches Bakary with a high foot, and the referee immediately not only gives the free kick, goes straight for the pocket and says to Rodri, that is a yellow card. Our referee tonight is João Pinheiro of Portugal.
Wow from Joao. It was. I think that's a really odd decision. The ball is bouncing, it's high up, and Rodri's just got a longer leg, I think, and actually wins the ball. It's there to win. Referee will say, well, it's to follow through, but I don't know. I mean, am I being harsh there? I mean, I think Rodri's entitled to go for that. It's there to win. Was his foot that high?
Are they not both making the same challenge there?
So Rodri was a bit taller.
Yeah, exactly.
Like me and you going for a bouncing ball, isn't it?
I think you get there first, Chris. I think we know that. I'll give you the list. Other strike partners that George has found. Larson and Shearer obviously on there.
Mark Robbins.
He hasn't got Mark Robbins there. In fact, he's not gone back to the Norwich days. Yeah, that is a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Well, underdogs Norwich City. The occasional European upset.
I remember it well, Chris.
That's why you can't write Red Star off, Bruce.
Like it. Here's Bernardo Silva on the right. Possession is all Manchester City's. It's exactly what we expected in this group. Leipzig have already won earlier on today, 3-1 away to Young Boys. Manchester City can't find a way through at the moment, and Newcastle have started their Champions League campaign with a point in the San Siro, 0-0 against AC Milan. Strong challenge by Hwang on Alvarez, wins the ball well, but immediately Mateus Nunes gets it back for Manchester City, finds Alvarez running from right to left. Sergio Gomez up in support, slides the pass in for Foden, stands the cross up, Haaland's header off the bar, bounces out into the box, and Pep Guardiola kicks the ground in frustration. Should have been 1-0.
He's got to be ruthless there, Erling Haaland. He's got to bury that. Hammers a header off the bar, but he's 5 yards out, goal at his mercy. Just head the ball down, Bruce.
Might get another chance here. Sergio Gomez trying to slide in Phil Foden. The pass was too far ahead of him. Couple of chances already for Erling Haaland, and he's not been able to take them. I thought he was going to gobble that up.
It's wonderfully worked again. That position for Foden with the forward run from the byline, standing the ball up at the far post, and Haaland just gets up superbly. Pep is motioning a header like Haaland.
Yeah, Red Star playing out.
Just head the ball down, Bruce. I was taught in my youth team days at Norwich City, the old good morning vicar, head the ball down. Who am I to tell Erling Haaland how to finish? But he should have buried that.
Rule Fox, of course, at Norwich.
He wasn't a striker, though. That's poor for us.
Poor again from George. Zola at Chelsea.
Gianfranco Zola, yeah. I think that was his most memorable strike partner. George Weah.
George Weah at Chelsea.
2 times World Player of the Year, President of Liberia.
Corner comes in towards the near post, headed away by Sheriff Njai. Juan Pablo Angel is on the list at Villa. Emil Heskey at Birmingham.
Good shout, yeah.
Yeah. So many
Gabby Agbonlahor.
So many players, Chris, so lucky to play with you. Bernardo Silva bringing the ball in from the right-hand side to the corner of the penalty area. Kyle Walker making a run on the outside. Little pass into the box. Mateus Nunes cuts it back. Pretty stuff from Manchester City. Can they turn it into a goal? Rodri hits a powerful shot, blocked at close range, and the ball spins out to Bernardo Silva again. 26 minutes gone in the first half, still 0-0. Curling ball from Foden ahead of Haaland, and behind it goes for a goal kick. Those chances are going to keep on coming.
Yeah, and Haaland knows it's had a strange few days. I can't remember since him actually signing for Manchester City, him missing so many chances in such a short space of time. I mean, he could have had 5, even 6 at the weekend, and tonight that was a huge opportunity. The one before he wasn't expecting. He normally gobbles those opportunities up.
Are you saying he's a busted flush? Red Star with Rodic, try and play out from the back. Silva blocks the pass, and it goes behind for the goal kick. Although I did note, in terms of Champions League football, Chris, he didn't score in the final, and he didn't score in either leg of the semi-final either.
Are you saying he's a busted flush?
I'm absolutely not.
The thing is, he's likely to still score 3 tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. If he gets the time to do that, and he doesn't need too much time to do that. And the reason I was glad he didn't get all the goals against West Ham at the weekend was because I went with Son Heung-min as my fantasy football captain. Took a risk, went against Haaland, and Son didn't do the business, and luckily for me, Haaland only got 1, but as you say, could have scored an absolute bucket load. 28 minutes gone in the first half. Port Vale have equalised in League One. Port Vale 1, Burton 1. Sergio Gomez, freedom of the Etihad, plays it across to Walker, slices the drive. He claims it took a touch. Referee's having a think, and then gives the corner to Manchester City. Manchester City 0, Red Star 0.
That's Rodic again. He's here, there, he's everywhere. Getting the block coming out from the left centre half position there. Getting a block, throwing himself at the ball. I wondered whether Kyle Walker could have hit that first time as the ball came across the box, took a touch, ball deflected behind.
Corner for Manchester City. Away to our right, Alvarez with a deep one to the far post. Ake's header, oh, good save. Low to his left-hand side from Omri Glaser, and palms it round the post for yet another corner.
A free header from Ake, 10 yards out, level with the far post, guides the header back across as you're supposed to do. Good feet from Glaser and getting his left hand to it round the post.
Shakhtar 1, Porto 3, so 4 goals in the first half of that Champions League game tonight. Alvarez gets ready to take another corner, aiming for the penalty spot here, headed down, easy save this time for Glaser. And once again, Red Star survive. Pep Guardiola comes marching back, arms spread out wide, and speaking very theatrically to members of his coaching staff behind him. So again, something's obviously troubling him in terms of the way Manchester City use the set piece. Bakari driving forward for Red Star. Here they come up to the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. Hwang wide on the right, cross comes in, Edison palms it away. Bakari will get there first, back to goal, and then 2 Manchester City players muscle him out of possession, and suddenly the game looks a little bit more open. Here's Foden, beautifully cushioned first touch to bring the ball down. Then he steps on the accelerator. Red Star try to hold him back, they can't. He's managed to play in Rodri. Rodri looking for Haaland, and the cross just didn't have enough on it to reach the big Norwegian at the far post. Cleared for now by Red Star. Manchester City 0, Red Star 0, Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0. Half an hour gone in the 8 o'clock kickoffs, and the boos from the Manchester City fans are because Njai is down and the referee stopped the game.
Well, it's not a head injury, is it? Bakari's still down. I've got to say, what an opportunity for Red Star. I think it was Hwang who crossed the ball in. It was wonderful anticipation from Edison in the Manchester City goal, who came out, got a big right hand to the ball. Bakari back on his feet, listened to the boos, and then Phil Foden takes the ball in and drives at the other, and he glides with the ball. He's such a good watch, isn't he? I tell you what, Red Star had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in the box there, and Hwang couldn't pick any of them out.
So the last team to beat Manchester City in a European game at the Etihad Stadium were Lyon back in the 2000.
Why didn't you ask me that?
2018-19 season.
I would have said Lyon.
How many games since then have Manchester City been unbeaten in
50.
at home in Europe? No, 50 or 15.
Oh, sorry, did you say 2000? What?
18-19. 26.
I was only 11 out.
124 drawn 2. Another stoppage in play here because Mateus Nunes is down, and there's a yellow card. It's not your man Rodic.
Yeah, my man Rodic. It's a
scissor challenge.
Yeah, I'd have a word with Rodic. There's a daft challenge. He cannot win the ball, and you know, in this day and age, in the 1980s, your manager would be saying good challenge, but not this year.
By the way, just a last quick one on the Fantasy 606 podcast. BBC Sounds app, search for Fantasy 606, click subscribe. And as I always say, you don't have to be a fantasy football player to enjoy the pod, but Chesney Hawkes has already changed his team name, hasn't he, Chris, today?
But to the Son and Only?
The Son and Only, yeah.
Son and Only.
Well, I know Son rhymes with one, but it's Son, isn't it? Son Heung-min, but I love that. The Son and Only.
It is, and I mean, it just shows us not just for young players fantasy football, because Chesney Hawkes, even though you thought he was like, did you think he was 55?
No, I got closest to his age. Here's Alvarez. He's looking very good on it as well, I have to say. Here's Bernardo Silva inside the Red Star penalty area. Left-footed shot straight at the goalkeeper, and another comfortable save for Glaser. Manchester City 0, Red Star 0.
You know what? I cannot believe that the Red Star defenders there, Rodic was one of them, they doubled up on him. That's Bernardo Silva, who's got a wonderful left foot, drive inside the box and get a shot off with that left foot. Should have done better. Easy save for Glaser.
So Glaser clears, Kyle Walker lets the ball go flying past him, and it goes out for a throw-in to Manchester City inside their own half. So we've had 33 minutes of this first half. Erling Haaland has crashed a header against the crossbar. Rodri's forced one excellent save from Glaser, the goalkeeper, but it remains Manchester City 0, Red Star 0.
And you totally wrote Red Star off, didn't you, before this game?
I thought Manchester
City... didn't give him a chance.
Still 0-0, and it's half-time at Deepdale. Lee Blakeman.
Preston 0, Birmingham 0, just the one shot on target each. Miller from 30 yards for Preston, Moyoshi from 25 yards for Birmingham, saved well low down by Woodman. Otherwise this one about as 0-0 as you can possibly get.
Got it again.
Erling Haaland, what a chance, head in hands again, cut back from Sergio Gomez, first time shot, 12 yards out, high and wide.
He looks to the heavens. He hasn't got his shooting boots on, or hasn't had them on in the last week. It's a really brilliant spot from Gomez, just inside the box on the left hand side, because all the Red Star defenders retreat and Haaland just hangs out. He's 8 yards out, level with the near post. Gets his connection all wrong, way over the bar.
Move being built by Red Star down the left. Mitrovic with a little bit of pace. Matheus Nunes slides in and wins the ball for Manchester City. So it's still final 0, Celtic 0. Chris, I mean, we don't know too much about what's been going on in the first half, but that's a tough game for Celtic tonight, isn't it?
It is, especially they've got defensive issues. Got the centre halves out. Although I think it's a centre-back pairing tonight, which was one which kept a clean sheet at Ibrox.
I was there. Lazio 0, Atletico 1 in that group.
Yeah, interesting group. Lazio have had not a great start to the season. I think they've lost 3 out of the first 4. Sarri ball.
Yeah. That's Celtic's first home game in the competition. This is still Manchester City 0, Red Star 0. You're listening live on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Final score service available tonight and tomorrow night as well. Forgot to tell you that, but you can listen to our commentary alongside the final score graphics and the video printer as Gomez's ball comes in. Haaland goes for a flying volley, doesn't make connection, but here's Bernardo Silva looking for the little ball down the right to Matheus Nunes. Keeps that in play down by the byline. Ball between his feet, flicks it back to Silva, corner of the area. Drags it back towards his right foot, works it back onto the left, hits another shot, big deflection, chested down. There's Rodri on the turn, cross to the far post, no one there for City. Might fall to Gomez, hits it hard and the volley is deflected, and behind it goes for a corner. Chris Sutton.
It's last-ditch defending from Red Star. I think is it Hwang there? I don't know. It's not Hwang who throws himself at the ball.
Can't be Rodic, can it? No, it's not.
They've got deeper and deeper as Rodri does well. And just helps the ball back into the box from the byline. But they have thrown the bodies in front of the ball, Red Star. They're hanging on in there. If they can get to half-time level, that would be a major triumph for them.
9 minutes remaining in the first half. Chris Sutton with us here at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 0, Red Star 0. Alvarez's cross from deep and the ball is punched away by Glaser. Goal at Hillsborough in the Championship. Naz Premji.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 0. Substitute Anthony Muzaba from close range after great work down the right from Deshaun Bernard. Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Here's Ruben Dias for Manchester City. Wide it goes to Sergio Gomez. Attacking position on the left-hand side for Manchester City, being forced back towards the halfway line. Plays to Nathan Ake. Still 0-0 between Manchester City and Red Star. Gomez wide on the left. Gomez being chased by a couple of Red Star players. Back to Dias it comes. Dias 10 yards inside his own half, outside of his right foot, forward to Rodri, and Manchester City have worked themselves out of that tight spot. Kyle Walker down the right to Bernardo Silva. Silva jinks onto that left foot. It's the one he likes to go to. Kyle Walker obviously with the right. Sprays the ball across the Red Star half. Nathan Ake thought about a shot from a long way out. Decides for the pass wide to the left to Gomez. Gomez plays back to Ake. They play a 1-2. Level with the edge of the Red Star penalty area. Back it comes this time to Rodri, looking for an option. Little floated pass this time to Walker. Walker spins on the ball. Alvarez moves into a nice little bit of space. Hits the shot and Glaser palms it away low to his right. Gomez should be able to keep this in on the left. Another save from the Red Star goalkeeper. Here's Gomez bringing it in from the left into the penalty area, down towards the byline. Crosses blocked and Glaser jumps up in the air and catches it. Half-time, Chris. Southampton Ipswich. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, Southampton 0, Ipswich 1. Tight game until the mistake by Shea Charles, the Southampton defender. He gave the ball away. Connor Chaplin, he found Amari Hutchinson and he finished superbly. Connor Chaplin then hit the crossbar and Wes Byrne, he wasted a good chance 12 yards out. Half-time, Southampton 0, Ipswich 1.
Never like to interrupt you with Ipswich, Chris, but sometimes it has to be done. 7 minutes until the break. Corner for Manchester City. Alvarez takes it. A couple of challenges for it. Rodri on the turn. A load of red and white shirts in his way. The ball rolls gently to Bernardo Silva. Rodri still going down to the byline. Little cut back here, headed away, chested down by Bakary, who thumps it away on the right foot half volley.
Yeah, that was one of those have it moments. Anywhere will do. Get it out of the box. You feel it's coming for Manchester City, as Ederson nearly took the throw in there, Bruce.
He did.
Just decided against it.
Kyle Walker takes it. Let's check in on Feyenoord Celtic, by the way. Connie McLaughlin.
Well, we just had an opportunity. It's goalless, by the way. An opportunity there for Feyenoord in the form of a VAR check. It was a possible penalty for Greg Taylor. It looked as if it hit his arm. It looked weak, to be fair. The referee, though, and VAR said no penalty. So a relief for the Celtic fans watching this one. Real Hatate has made a big difference, actually, in this one since coming back from injury. He gives another dynamic. He's always wanting to play the ball a little bit further forward. Feyenoord beginning to creep back into this one, I would have to say, but Celtic do feel as if they're withstanding a little bit more pressure. They're hoping to just sort of try and exploit any lapses in concentration from that Feyenoord backline. They've not done it so far. With 40 minutes on the clock, it's Feyenoord 0, Celtic 0.
6 minutes remaining in the first half here at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 0, Red Star 0. Our commentary from the Champions League tomorrow night. Bayern Munich against Manchester United.
They need a result, Manchester United, don't they?
Harry Kane for Bayern Munich.
Yeah. Eric Ten Hag under the pump, isn't he, this season?
Going to be a good listen, that. Ruben Dias bringing the ball forward for City. Chips it wide to Gomez. Gomez's pass back here. And City still have it. That's Matheus Nunes on the turn. Picks up a bit of speed. Gomez is there as the option, wide on the left again. Back it comes to Ruben Dias. Walker backpedaling on the right. Rodri runs into position for Diaz. Quick 1-2 with Alvarez. Now Ake. City working space. Cross comes in from the left. Free header from Foden. And it's saved again. And the rebound from Bernardo Silva is blocked as well. And that is another golden opportunity for Manchester City. That's an easier headed chance than Haaland's one, isn't it?
I don't know. I think they're on par. But you're right when you say golden. It can't get any easier. Got to say, Glazer, what a save. But he shouldn't have been allowed to save it. Red Star usually have an attack of their own. What, Foden 6 yards out again, but he actually heads the ball down like he should do, but shouldn't be hitting the goalkeeper. Anywhere else, to the side, go back across. Glazer did well to keep it out though. Scrambling save.
Right, Foden's going to try and make amends on the dribble up to the edge of the box. Still Foden, right-footed shot, and that one's blocked. And Bernardo Silva tries to get the rebound, gets a touch, but it doesn't run to Foden.
There's Rodic again. He's everywhere, Rodic.
There's Ake for Manchester City. 4 minutes remaining in the first half. I wouldn't say frustration was building, but they're frittering away chances. Jeremy Doku, Chris, is stripped off and ready to go, and we are 3 minutes away from half time. So that's an interesting one down there. Diaz.
Can't see anybody hobbling in the Manchester City team. So what's the point? Is this Pep making a bit of a statement, or are we reading too much into it?
Possibly. We normally do. Here's Diaz.
Are we overthinking? Are we accused of overthinking much?
Well, not often. Here's Bernardo Silva to Alvarez. Little 1-2 with Foden. Alvarez back to Ake. Central position, about 40 yards out. Alvarez used again. Ruben Dias, nice meaty pass wide to Walker. Walker's curling, teasing ball, and Glazer throws himself forward. Double-fisted punch away, and then a flicked header out by Mitrovic, and it goes out for a Manchester City throw. Red Star have been on their mettle, Chris. They knew the challenge that was coming, and they've been able to stand up to it so far. So the change is coming. Doku is out to the edge of the pitch. It's going to be really interesting to see the number that goes up here. Here's Matheus Nunes. Just delays for a second edge of the penalty area. Support from Kyle Walker out on the right. Play back to Nunes. Manchester City working in very tight spaces on the edge of the penalty area, surrounded by all these red and white shirts, and then Bernardo Silva passes the ball to a Red Star player, and Red Star are able to play out, and Hwang has a chase on, but Ruben Dias slides in and wins the ball, clears it into the Red Star half, and Mitrovic is on the ball inside his own half and looking for the run of Bakary, who does have pace, so that will be a challenge for Dias again. Dias gets his body in the way, goes tumbling, Bakary's fouled him, Free kick for Manchester City. So, Chris, here comes the moment. Manchester City going to make a change.
Bernardo Silva, I think.
Right, Bernardo Silva comes off. He's not injured, is he?
Well,
don't think.
I'm not a medical expert, but that's a big call if he's taking off Bernardo Silva. Maybe there's an illness or something. I really don't know. That's a big surprise, though. Hooked in the first half, Bernardo Silva. There must be something wrong with him.
Possibly,
you don't take Bernardo Silva off. He's just given him he gave him a 12-month extension, didn't he?
Here's Doku with an immediate trick down the right-hand side. Gets down to the byline. Maybe Doku's got that little burst of pace that he feels Bernardo Silva doesn't.
Is Doku as effective as Bernardo Silva in the final third? Has he been throughout his career? Here we go.
Here's Alvarez. There's Doku. Doku's touch, then scuffs across, comes back into Alvarez, who slips, and on the half volley drives the shot wide of the near post. Bernardo Silva's not gone down the tunnel, so he's still sitting down there in the dugout. But I think, Chris, if you play for Pep Guardiola, you know what the score is. If you're not doing, and there may be something wrong with him, we're not sure, but if you're not doing, I mean, he didn't go off in a huff, he just accepted it, looked disappointed, and sat down.
I think that you are reading far too much into this. I think that there will be something wrong with Bernardo Silva. Maybe he's feeling a bit unwell. He hasn't had a brilliant first half, but which Manchester City player has had. There's been a couple of occasions where you felt something might happen off him when he's come inside on that left foot.
Ball played through here. Bakary is in, flag is down, and Red Star has scored, and then the flag goes up. It's ruled out. The video assistant referee will have a look. That is the danger that Red Star can pose on the counter. That was an emphatic finish. The game is not underway just yet. We will have a look on our replay monitors. What a well-taken goal, Chris Sutton.
Well, it was well taken. I thought initially he did look offside.
Ooh.
I think he's on.
I think he's on.
I think he's onside. And this is some finish. A central position. Ederson comes out, and what he does really well, he composes himself, has a little look, and lifts the ball over Ederson. It's about frame by frame, but the frame we've seen, Bruce, he's onside, and for all those people who wrote Red Star off,
I'll tell you what. You said it, Chris. You tell me what. 0-0 at the moment. VAR goal check up on the screen.
Let's have a look. He's on.
He's on.
Unless
we think he's on. We can't see the lines. Referee is waiting for communication. We're saying onside. We think Red Star are going to lead Manchester City late in the first half.
There's no way we are wrong here, Bruce.
Okay. They're taking their time, Chris. That worries me. That worries me. That maybe our angle's not the correct angle.
Oh, no.
The fact it's taking so long to decide obviously shows you it's tighter than we think. Still 0-0. And we wait right at the end of the first half. Have Red Star scored on the counter? It is going to make it a fascinating second half. The goal stands! Red Star Belgrade lead at the Etihad Stadium. Osman Bakary has scored. Haaland's hit the bar. Foden's missed a sitter. Red Star's goalkeeper's made a few wonderful saves, and now they lead the European champions by 1-0. What a story.
It is brilliant finish. The European champions stunned. I've got to say, the finish is brilliant. Ederson comes out, spreads himself, but Bakary, because he gets elevation on the ball, lifts it, bends it over him. Red Star have stunned the Etihad. They have shocked Manchester City. Still a long way to go, but it's not been the first half Manchester City would have wanted or expected.
Right, Pep Guardiola is sat down at the moment. We can't see him. We're in added time at the end of the first half, and Manchester City trail Red Star by 1-0. Goal in the final Celtic game. Connie.
Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0. Calvin Stengs, it was about 25 yards out, a free kick. I'd have to say Joe Hartwell maybe not doing its job or what he wanted, allowing Feyenoord to take the lead just totally against the run of play. 2 minutes into stoppage time in this first half. It's Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0.
So Feyenoord leading, Red Star leading. If you just tuned into 5 Live and BBC Sounds, Red Star Belgrade, the Serbian champions, lead Manchester City, the European champions, at the Etihad Stadium by 1-0. They've got something to cling on to. They've defended brilliantly so far, and we've got some second half on the way, Chris Sutton.
Yeah. You think about Red Star, lost 2 out of the recent 3 games, haven't they?
Yes.
Mr. Kukariki, I think.
I'm not
Never an easy place to go, that Kukariki, though.
Foden on the left edge of the penalty area. It's the Red Star fans you can hear singing on 5 Live and BBC Sounds at the moment. The half-time whistle blows. The Manchester City players turn and head for the tunnel quickly. And the Red Star players, well, they're certainly not celebrating, but goodness me, what a first half from them. Barcelona, I see, lead Royal Antwerp by 3-0 at half-time. But I have to say, Chris, and it's not often I let you tell me that I'm wrong, but you did say to me, do not write Red Star off. You never know. This is football. Stranger things have happened. And at the moment, there's still 45 minutes to go, I know, but at the moment it's happening.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, you can never write anybody off. I didn't fancy really Red Star coming into the game. You look at their form this season. The difference in this game, Manchester City have had big chances, golden chances, as you said. They've missed them. Haaland, has been profligate this evening. Foden had that headed opportunity. Glaser in the Red Star goal has made a couple of brilliant saves. But the chance Red Star did get, then it was tucked away brilliantly by Bakary, and they've got something to hold on to now. They've defended deep and defended resiliently. Red Star, shock on. Yeah, 5 wins out of 5 in the Premier League for Manchester City, but at half-time in their first Champions League game of the season, they are behind at home to the Serbian champions. Manchester City 0, Red Star 1.
Half-time whistle's gone in Feyenoord as well. They're leading Celtic by 1-0 from Calvin Stengs. As far as this game at the Etihad is concerned, Chris, just to put some numbers on a couple of the points you were making, Manchester City, according to the BBC Sport website, have had 79% possession. They've had 22 shots, 7 of which have been on target. They've had 10 corners, while Red Star Belgrade, with that 21% possession, have had 1 shot. It was on target, and it was a goal. How on earth has that happened?
It's about taking your chances, isn't it? I've got to say, I think Red Star have been superbly organised at the back and very, very disciplined. And look, when they've had opportunities to break, they didn't make the most of them up until that opportunity when Bakary was slipped in. He composed himself so well. Ederson's a brilliant goalkeeper, but he had no chance with that effort. But I mean, Erling Haaland has been, really sloppy in the last few days with his finishing, and I can't really remember ever saying that since he's come over and during his Manchester City career. But just on his heels with the first opportunity, wasn't expecting it, made a mess of a header, and then had the golden opportunity where he's free 6 yards out, crashes the ball off the crossbar when he has the goal at his mercy, just has to get it on target. And Phil Foden, been much talked about this season, playing in that central midfield position. Gareth Southgate doesn't like him in that position for England, but he had an opportunity he didn't gobble up, and it's just been frustrating. And Red Star's last-ditch defending has been very, very good. The goalkeeper's played well, and Manchester City have work to do and thinking to do.
They have work to do, and I take your point about the performances of individuals and collectively from Manchester City. But even with what for them might be a below par performance, they've still absolutely dominated the game, and you'd expect that they'll come out in the second half and tie this up. Yeah,
well, I think we've seen it so many times, and Manchester City over the years under Pep Guardiola have shown their resilience and their belief, and how many late goals have they scored, and they will keep going and keep probing and dominating and try and wear the opposition down with the slickness of passing, and they'll get opportunities in the second half, no doubt about that. But from Red Star's point of view, this couldn't be any better. To go in half-time even level would have been, I think, a big thing, and they could have had something to cling on. But 1-0 up, they will be a buoyant dressing room at half-time, Red Star.
Chris Sutton, Alistair Bruce-Ball, for now, thank you very much. Back to the Etihad for the second half very shortly, where Red Star Belgrade had 1 shot. It was on target. It was a goal. And that is it from their 21% possession. They lead by that 0-0. And there's been a goal at Deepdale. Lee Blakeman.
And it's gone to Birmingham. Preston 0, Birmingham 1. The goal coming in the first minute of the second half. Jay Stansfield played in right side of the area, took a touch and buried it past Freddie Woodman in front of a delighted away end. Preston, the leaders before tonight, they're trailing. Preston 0, Birmingham 1.
Elsewhere, Sheffield Wednesday playing Middlesbrough. The half-time whistle's gone. Naz Premji.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 0. Kelly, vastly improved performance from the home side, deservedly lead. They've been super in this first period. Paul Valentin, the right back, with a couple of efforts early doors, but it was Anthony Musaba off the bench for the injured Josh Windass, who fired Wednesday in front from Deshaun Bernard's cutback from the right. Second goal for the former Monaco man of the campaign. Borough have been absolutely woeful. They need to do better. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Thank you very much for that, Naz. We will bring you right up to date with everything that's happening in the Championship and elsewhere in the Champions League, plus bring you the second half from the Etihad, where Manchester City, the holders, are trailing 1-0 to Red Star Belgrade at half-time. All of that's coming up after the BBC News with Francesca Flynn.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The BBC has learnt that Rishi Sunak is considering watering down significant commitments to net zero and will argue that the UK has over-delivered on confronting climate change. The Prime Minister is considering delaying a ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars and weakening plans to phase out gas boilers. A review will take place into the period Russell Brand worked at the BBC. The Director General, Tim Davie, says they will be looking at complaints against the former presenter and what was known about his behaviour at the time. Brand has been accused of rape and sexual assault allegations, which he strongly denies. The Ukrainian president has addressed world leaders at the UN General Assembly. Volodymyr Zelensky urged them to unite to stop the Russian invasion of his country and not to discuss things behind closed doors. And researchers have developed a tool that uses artificial intelligence to identify DNA mutations that might cause diseases like cancer and brain disorders. The development is expected to speed up efforts to find new and more effective drugs.
This is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates
on 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
We'll head back to the Etihad very shortly for second half commentary of Manchester City 0, Red Star Belgrade 1. We're going to head back to Deepdale, though, because there's been another goal. Lee Blakeman.
And Preston, as you can probably hear, have got the equaliser. Preston 1, Birmingham 1. Alan Brown sent in a corner from the right. I think it's come off a Birmingham head last. It's Preston 1, Birmingham 1 at Deepdale.
We'll keep an eye on everything that's happening in the Championship. Elsewhere, Bristol City 3, Plymouth 1, Cardiff 1, Coventry 1, QPR 0, Swansea 1. We'll bring you the League One latest scores in just a second. But there are other matches in the Champions League this evening besides those involving Celtic and Manchester City. John Bennett is across events elsewhere. Evening, John.
Hi, Kelly. Yes, it's welcome to the Champions League. Royal Antwerp, they are 3-0 down against Barcelona at half-time. Barca were 3-0 up in 22 minutes. They've been turning back the clock, to be honest. Some fantastic football. João Felix scored the first goal after a lovely interchange of passes. Robert Lewandowski scored the second, set up by João Felix, his 100th goal in UEFA club competitions. Rafinha scored the third goal. So Barcelona 3-0 up. In the same group, it's Shakhtar 1, Porto 3. 3 goals in that game in the first 15 minutes. Iran's Mehdi Taremi made it 3-1 on the half hour. In Group F, Paris Saint-Germain 0, Borussia Dortmund 0. PSG have had around 70% possession, but they are being frustrated despite the fact that they have Kolo Muani, Mbappe and Dembele in attack. It's all PSG, but they can't make the breakthrough. And finally, in Rome, in Group E, in Celtic's group, it's Lazio 0, Atletico Madrid 1. Pablo Barrios with a deflected effort. It's been an open game, great atmosphere. The Lazio fans, they brought out a banner pre-match for Diego Simeone, the Atletico Madrid head coach, saying Rome will always be your home. He used to play for Lazio, but guess what, Kelly? He was booked first half, Diego Simeone, for his exuberance in the technical area. Atletico Madrid lead by 1-0.
Can't imagine that at all. John Bennett, for now, thank you very much. So we're up to date in the Champions League. Already given you the Championship scores. In League One, the very latest scores are there. Barnsley are trailing Portsmouth by 3-0. It's 0-0 between Peterborough and Cheltenham, and it's Port Vale 1, Burton Albion 1. Back to the Etihad very shortly, but Wednesday's commentary comes from the Allianz Arena as Manchester United take on Bayern Munich. Erik ten Hag has been speaking about their opponents.
They have very attractive players, very skillful. You can't be unfocused for 1 second, one split of second, because they so much individual class they have. But as you say, they leave you also sometimes spaces. But we are very respectful, and we know Bayern, especially in Champions League, Home, especially group stage, they are very strong. But as you say, we're looking forward because we like the challenge, and also we trust ourselves.
Former Liverpool, Aston Villa and England defender Stephen Warnock is in Munich for us for the game, alongside our correspondent John Murray.
Well, we're actually sitting inside the Allianz Arena, almost in darkness. You can just see the roof of the stadium glowing red above our heads in the German darkness. What sort of a night it's going to be for Manchester United tomorrow? I have to say, there is a distinct feeling of trepidation about what could lie in store for them here tomorrow night. And the latest news is, Erik ten Hag has got almost a team of first-team players unavailable for this match. Obviously, the injuries, the suspensions and unavailability of Antony and Sancho, even Harry Maguire, even the beleaguered Harry Maguire has picked up an injury. Doesn't sound as though it's too serious, but he's not been able to make the trip. So, Stephen Warnock against Bayern Munich and Harry Kane, I think of the opponents that Manchester United wouldn't want to face right now, they've got to be quite close to the top of the list.
Yeah, this is always a dangerous place to come to, and a very difficult place to get a result, and it's going to be very difficult for them tomorrow night because of what you've just mentioned there. The squad's depleted, confidence is low. Bayern aren't quite at their best either, have to say. They haven't quite clicked yet, having watched a few of their games. They are also suffering from injuries themselves. They've got quite a depleted squad, probably 14, maybe 13, 14 first team players that they can really rely on. So when you look at that is a side of it where you go, well, they're not quite at the best. You've got to try and pick out the positives from it. But this is going to be a big task for Manchester United.
Manchester United, who've made the start that they've made, they've lost 3 of their last 4 matches. They've lost the last 2. Erik ten Hag said to us that he didn't feel the need for him to have any sort of reset, a restart. You know, he's basically just said they need to be more consistent. That was the message, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they do. They need to find a style, or find a way of winning games or grinding out results. They're too easy to play against at the moment. There's too many mistakes within the team, and that is an issue. There's been a lot made of the midfield positions, and too easy to play against in and around those positions. And you look at Bayern Munich and you think, well, one of their big strengths is that central midfield position, and if they can get a foothold in the game, Manchester United will find it very difficult to get any sort of dominance in a game here. One thing you've got to do in European football is you have to retain the football. You have to take that pressure off yourselves away from home. Whether they've got the quality to do that at the moment, I'm not quite so sure.
Well, earlier on today, I did have a chance to speak with Harry Kane, who came in to talk to the assembled media ahead of this match. Of course, so high profile for him. All of the talk there was during the summer that Manchester United might actually be his final destination, but he's ended up here in Germany and made a very good goal-scoring start with 4 goals in his first 4 Bundesliga appearances. But obviously, he was asked about what he makes of the current state that Manchester United are in.
I don't know about the perfect time, because obviously they've been going through a bit of a tough spell recently, but sometimes that can be really dangerous because, you know, they're looking for a big response, and we need to be careful of that. You know, we're at home, you know, we want to dictate the game, we want to play the way we want to, but they have some threats as well that we really need to be careful of. So I don't like to think too much about, you know, the form that the team are in, because every game can be different. So I just need to perform the way I know I can and the team can, and hopefully we can create some good chances. It's important to start the game on the front foot and really try and put the pressure on the opposition. So that's what we'll try and do. Of course, they've got some big threats as well, and counter-attack, they have some really quick players, so we need to be wary of that. But overall, you know, it's a game that we want to try and dominate and try and, you know, keep the pressure on and hopefully break down as the game goes on.
That was, of course, Harry Kane, the Bayern Munich striker, speaking ahead of their game against Manchester United in the Champions League tomorrow. Commentary of that on 5 Live Sport. Earlier today, it finished Newcastle 0, AC Milan in the San Siro. You'd imagine Newcastle happy with that point away from home in their first game back in the Champions League in 20 years. Our commentary match now is at the Etihad, where the holders Manchester City are taking on Red Star Belgrade and are trailing by a 1-0, and they're out bright and early for the second half. Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce Ball.
They are. They've been stung in their own backyard right at the end of the first half. Manchester City. Pep Guardiola making the late change just before half-time as well. Bernardo Silva came off. Jeremy Doku came on. Chris Sutton, just in a couple of the replays we were watching at half-time, it looked like Bernardo Silva, when Phil Foden missed his good chance with a header, went for a rebound and just felt something, didn't he? Pulled up.
He pulled up, and that would have been hence the substitution. I think we said at the time it would be strange to hook Bernardo Silva off that close to half-time if there wasn't an injury, because he's been such an important player for Pep Guardiola over the years now. Doku, a right-footed right winger now for Manchester City, getting the opportunity, and Red Star are retreating at the start of this second half.
Red Star in the red and white stripes, playing from left to right in this second half. Manchester City in the light blue shirts, white shorts, light blue socks. European champions 1-0 down. Ruben Dias overhits the cross. Doku won't get to that, and it goes behind for the goal kick. Here's a stat for you, Chris. Only once in the last 28 seasons of this competition, 28 seasons, that's a lot, have the holders lost their opening group game, and that was Liverpool, who lost 2-0 at Napoli.
I was going to say that.
Again.
Yeah, 2-0 at Napoli. In Naples.
Yes, that's where Napoli play, yes, exactly. In 2019-20, it doesn't happen often. Alvarez towards Haaland. Haaland tries to play Alvarez back in, round the keeper. Oh, and he rolls it home beautifully. Well, that took Manchester City just over a minute in the second half to get themselves level. Pep Guardiola sent them out with real intent. Beautiful link-up play between Haaland and Alvarez, and the finish was absolutely delicious. Manchester City 1, Red Star 1.
Yeah, that combination, Alvarez and Haaland, have started the season so well. Alvarez playing in a number 10 role on the half-turn, feeds the ball into Haaland, who shapes to shoot with that left foot of his. I've got to say, the finish from Alvarez is absolutely ridiculous. It is so good. The ball fed to him, two really quick touches, one to go round Glazer in the Red Star goal, really quick first touch, and then such a quick second touch to roll the ball. It is brilliant feet, dancing feet from Alvarez. And Manchester City level.
Yeah, 1-1. Just got enough on the second touch. Got it, as you say, Chris, quick as a flash. Got his foot to the ball in time, which didn't give the defenders time to react, and tucked it in from the angle. Brilliant.
I don't think he had a chance for another step. It was two really fast touches, because he would have ran out of room. Wonderful feet.
Julian Alvarez, third goal of the season. 2 in the Premier League. Obviously, this is the first game in the Champions League this season, and Red Star, after all the hard work and the brilliant defending and the superbly taken goal right at the end of the first half, are sort of back to square one. And it's Red Star 1, Manchester City 1.
How deflating. Yeah. You can imagine them chest pumping at half time, and first 15 minutes so important. But that was a moment of brilliance. Really clever from Haaland as well, coming inside on that left foot hammer of his, but such a cute little pass into Alvarez, who had carried his run on. And we're all square.
We're all square. Cardiff 2, Coventry 1 in the Championship, and in League 1, Peterborough 2, Cheltenham 0. Mostly 7:45 kickoffs tonight, and the 8 o'clock kickoff. That's the battle of the bottom two in the Championship at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday leading Middlesbrough by a goal to 0. Feyenoord leads Celtic 1-0 in the Champions League. Newcastle got their point in the San Siro. Phil Foden is making ground towards the edge of the Red Star penalty area. Felt he was fouled, doesn't get the decision. Sheriff Ndiaye, the Red Star centre forward, has a lot to do on his own here inside the Manchester City half. Beat a couple of players, but eventually got outnumbered, and City come again.
Give him a hand, give him a chance. I mean, he's on the left-hand side there. I think there are 4 Manchester City defenders back behind the ball, and there's not one Red Star player who gets up in support of Ndiaye. So I think we know this second half is going to pan out.
Yeah, a lot of defending, I think, for the visitors to do. Sergio Gomez has overrun the ball and has lost it easily, so a chance again to come on the break here. And it's Sheriff Ndiaye, but the ball through is read by Ederson, who doesn't just come out and thump it away, he does a little back heel, and it's brilliant football from Manchester City, and they have it with Rodri and Mateus Nunes in space on the left-hand side. And Rodri saw him, but the pass couldn't get to him. Bakary takes a touch on the ball, played forward by Mihailovic for Red Star, but only as far as Kyle Walker.
Goalkeepers are not allowed to do what Ederson did there. That's ridiculous. It was like a little half a Cruyff turn there from Ederson. I'd love to see him play outfield, he's so good.
Here's Doku. Doku has moved into a more central position, scored his first goal, of course, for Manchester City in the win at West Ham. That one came right at the start of the second half, didn't it, when Manchester City were 1-0 down on Saturday, just like it's happened tonight. Here's Gomez, driven cross into the penalty area, swing and a miss from Foden at the near post. Here's Sheriff Ndiaye, Red Star centre forward. They are starting to bring men forward to support him now. The ball is played out to the left-hand side. The run being made through the middle by Ivanic. The ball is too far ahead of him, and Ederson is out to the edge of his box. And this time does the sensible thing and picks it up with his hands and just rolls it out to Rodri. And it's got quite end-to-end at the start of the second half.
That's how we want to see it. Red Star, though, it's not going to suit them, I don't think, if they go toe-to-toe. But they do have to pick the moment.
Manchester City 1, Red Star 1. Mateus Nunes, first start for Manchester City tonight. Doku on for the injured Bernardo Silva. That passes ahead of Nunes and goes out for a goal kick. So the Manchester City team, go on Chris, you're going to say something?
I was just going to say, we discussed Ivanic at half-time. We didn't mention his part in the Red Star goal. His pass was wonderful. We talked about the finish, but from a central area, they won a second ball, and the weight of pass allowing Bakary not to break stride and have a look. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was great vision and fabulous execution. One striker you never got to play with, Chris, obviously you'd finished before he started, Kylian Mbappe, has scored for Paris Saint-Germain tonight. That would have been a partnership, wouldn't it? Sutton and Mbappe. So Paris Saint-Germain lead Dortmund by 1-0. That's the latest.
He would have enjoyed playing with
I think he would, Chris. I do. I really do. Ake to Alvarez. Bit of space for Julian Alvarez inside the Red Star half. Curls a low pass out to Doku. Doku, the 21-year-old Belgian, plays it back to Mateus Nunes. Kyle Walker gets involved in an attacking position on the right. Mateus Nunes to Alvarez. Alvarez sizing up his options on the edge of the box. Hwang in with a challenge. So City have to rebuild, but they're still close to the Red Star penalty area. Rodri's ball to Walker, tries to lay it back, and then it comes back to Kyle Walker, who sticks it away, but the offside flag goes up, and this one won't count. So he got his goal for England in Poland against Ukraine. I don't think he's going to get his Champions League goal tonight for Manchester City.
Yeah, similar run, similar position. It's close.
Oh, it is
very,
close.
very close. The right back.
But is it that one?
Red Star.
Oh no.
Mihailovic. It's close. It's a tight one.
Well, let's wait. Hang on. Referee says, arm in the air, says play.
Well, wasn't as close as I thought then.
Looked close to me. 1-1. Manchester City 1, Red Star 1.
I tell you what, he finished it really well. Tried to cut the ball back initially. When it came back to him, instinctive finish.
Ederson in goal for City. Kyle Walker, who thought he'd just given City the lead, at right back. Sergio Gomez at left back. Ruben Dias and Nathan Ake, the two centre backs. Rodri's on the yellow card in this game, alongside Mateus Nunes making his first start for City. Doku wide on the right. Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez in support of Erling Haaland. Oh, and Haaland thought he was going to get across to tee him up. They're headed forward by Gomez and brilliantly volleyed away by Nasser Giga for Red Star. Goal at Deepdale, I think. Preston, Birmingham, Lee Blakeman.
Preston have turned it around. Preston 2, Birmingham 1. Osmajic played inside the area, shot hard and low through Ruddy, and Preston could be on their way to 6 wins in a row. They lead Birmingham 2-1.
Port Vale started the night second in League One. They're 3-1 down at home to Burton, and Barcelona. That was Burton. I don't quite know how I was trying to pronounce that. Burton, Chris. That was
Burton something.
Barcelona 4, Royal Antwerp 0. Gavi with the fourth goal for Barcelona. So they're heading for a comfortable win tonight.
Scripps ready to go, and just having a little warm-up there, but his top's off.
Okay.
Training top.
He'll be coming on soon. Manchester City at home to Nottingham Forest on Saturday. That's our 3 o'clock commentary on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. At 5:30 we'll have full commentary of Brentford against Everton. Whole choice of listening on Sunday. North London derby on 5 Live at 2 o'clock. Arsenal Tottenham. Liverpool West Ham in full on Sports Extra. Chelsea Villa and Brighton Bournemouth available as commentaries online. And Sheffield United Newcastle at 4:30. Another full commentary on BBC Radio 5 Live. And of course all the Rugby Union World Cup action to come over the weekend as well. Sergio Gomez plays the ball back to Nathan Ake. Another goal at Hillsborough as Premji.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 1, visitors level. It was an effort from Darrell Lenihan from close range, off the underside of the bar and in. Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 1.
So Manuel Akanji ready to go for Manchester City. They're attacking down the left with Sergio Gomez. Gomez's cutback won't reach Foden. Hwang, the South Korean international, is there to intercept. He's wide on the right inside his own half, clears the ball into Foden's legs and wins a throw-in for Red Star, who at the moment are still holding Manchester City. 35 minutes to play, and were they to get a point here in their opening group game against the holders, that would be an enormous achievement.
Yeah, just seeing the angle of the Kyle Walker offside. His body was leaning forward, probably half a yard offside. That should be a free kick for Red Star, and Diaz will be lucky to get away without seeing a caution there. He's not. Oh no, he is going to get cautioned.
Got there as quick as he could, but it wasn't quick enough. But Bakari is quick, isn't he, Chris?
Yeah, diminutive figure of Bakari. Got real acceleration over those first few yards especially, and Diaz clumsy with the challenge. They're still offering enough, Red Star, in those forward areas to worry the City defenders.
So they've got a free kick just inside the Manchester City half, and they play it back into their own half. This is only their third ever group stage campaign in the Champions League, and in the first 2 campaigns finished bottom of their groups both times. And in terms of the away games, have lost all 6 away games previously with some really heavy defeats, unsurprisingly against some really good teams. PSG 6-1, Liverpool 4-0, Napoli 3-1, Bayern Munich 3-0, Tottenham 5-0, Olympiacos 1-0. But tonight it is 1-1 away at Manchester City. City are starting to turn up the heat though. Rodri plays the ball wide to Doku. Doku dances away from his marker. Mateus Nunes back to Rodri, into the feet of Alvarez, tees himself up for the shot, curling shot. Oh, Glazer spilled it. Haaland tries to finish it, and Glazer makes the block somehow, lying on the floor. And Haaland can't believe he's missed another chance, and the keeper's injured.
Yeah. Glazer makes a real mess of the first shot from Alvarez, who's taking up some brilliant positions, just playing off Erling Haaland, popping up, getting the ball on the half turn, 25 yards out, tries to bend it into the far corner, gets it too close to Glazer, who goes down to his right hand side, really clumsy, spills the ball. Haaland thinks he's got an easy tap in. I've got to say, the second save, his recovery save, Glazer just gambles, makes himself big. It's brilliant, his recovery save. Hurt his shoulder in the process.
Sergio Gomez comes off, Manuel Akanji comes on, and he looks like he's heading to the right, and Nathan Ake will come further to the left-hand side. So that's the change made by Manchester City early in the second half. Reminds me as well, I've not taken you through this Red Star lineup at the start of the second half, so I'll do that when I get a chance as well. But the game is back underway here. Ake throws it to Rodri. He lofts a ball back to Diaz. Bakari got there first again. Diaz on the yellow card bumps into him. Had to be very careful there. And here is Akanji with his first touch of the game. Low pass just inside the Red Star half, finds Ake. Ake back to the imposing physical figure of Rodri in central midfield in his short sleeve light blue shirt. Akanji plays it wide to Walker. Walker's pass back to Diaz. Diaz is encouraged to bring it forward for Manchester City. 40 yards out to Rodri. Spots a gap. Away he goes, Rodri. Lays it off here to Mateus Nunes. Looks for the cross from the edge of the penalty area. Easily headed away. And Ake plays it back to Mateus Nunes.
3 centre-halves now, Manchester City. Doku out on this left-hand side. Foden has gone. He's still playing high up in midfield. Kyle Walker high up on that right-hand side. Opportunity for Manchester City.
Free kick for them. Mateus Nunes went for a run. Left-hand side of the Red Star penalty area and was dragged back as he was making ground forward. So free kick right on the corner of the box. Now Julian Alvarez could possibly have a shot on goal here with the right foot. Or Hey, you're not having that? I think he might try and surprise the keeper at the near post. Let's see. Foden dummies it. Alvarez curls the cross into the far post. Oh, it's gone straight in. Glass has missed his punch completely. The Red Star goalkeeper, who's had a brilliant night to this point, that is an absolute howler. And Manchester City lead Red Star by 2-1. Julian Alvarez has his second goal, but he can be very grateful to the goalkeeper for completely missing his punch.
I mean, this is awful goalkeeping. I mean, you said that Alvarez would try and beat the goalkeeper at his near post. He puts the ball into an area. I think it may actually be awarded as an own goal. I'm not so sure it was going in. What he does is he's trying to feed the ball in just inside the far post, and Manchester City get runners across the goalkeeper's eye line. I don't think the goalkeeper is ever unsighted. He just comes and makes a real hash of it. Goes to land a big right fist to the ball, and it skims off his knuckles into the back of the net. Manchester City in front with a bit of fortune.
Yeah, that is a very basic goalkeeping error, and I feel for him as well, because he's had a brilliant night to this point. And I think you're right. I think that cross might have been hitting the post. It was that close, curling in towards the post. So we'll see whether it gets given to Julian Alvarez. Let's check in on Feyenoord Celtic. Connie McLaughlin.
It's just Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0. Feyenoord definitely upping the tempo in the second half. When the ball goes wide, they're just flashing it across goal. Celtic making some changes. Yang on for Palma, Hom on for Hatate. They've got to find a spark from something. It's Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0.
So Manchester City were one down. They now lead by 2-1. Bakari, little layoff. Hwang's first time shot straight at Ederson. That was a chance for Red Star. Ederson makes the save.
Yes, good from Bakari down that right-hand side, driving into the box. Hwang making the forward run, had more time than he thought. Comfortable from Ederson.
Here's Mateus Nunes running down the left-hand side, runs into trouble. Challenge on him from Nasser Giga, the 20-year-old, making his debut for Red Star tonight. After the challenge, he stayed down. He's flat on his back. Doku blocks the clearance. He takes a knock in his back, and it will be a free kick for Red Star. So their team, Omri Glaser in goal, who's just punched that one into the back of his own net, but before that tonight has made some fabulous saves. Srđan Mihajlovic has been playing right back. Chris's favourite Milan Rodic, who looked absolutely gassed after about 20 minutes, but has done a good job for Red Star tonight at left back. Giga and Dragovic, the two centre backs. Hwang and Stamanic in central midfield. Osman Bakari, the goal scorer. Stefan Mitrovic wide on the left, and Mirko Ivanic in support of Sheriff Undai, I think it's pronounced, the Senegalese centre forward, recently signed from Turkish football. Rodri's curler just wide. Lovely effort from the edge of the box, and I was expecting that to nestle very nicely in the back of the net.
Yeah, just fear for Red Star now, because they're going to have to open up and be more expansive. It's just seeing that angle of the Rodri effort, not too far away. Started at too far out, 25 yards, trying to bend it in. Last Glazer in the Red Star goal.
Paris Saint-Germain have a second against Borussia Dortmund. Ashraf Hakimi has scored there. They lead Dortmund by 2-0. Barcelona are 4-up on Royal Antwerp. Porto 3-1 up away to Shakhtar in the 8 o'clock kickoffs. Atletico 1-up away to Lazio in Celtic's group, and Celtic still a goal behind to Feyenoord earlier on tonight. AC Milan 0, Newcastle 0. Young Boys 1, RB Leipzig 3 in this group. This is Manchester City 2, Red Star 1, and we heard from John Murray and Stephen Warnock at half-time. They will bring you commentary tomorrow night on 5 Live and BBC Sounds of Bayern Munich against Manchester United. I will have Dean Smith for company at the Emirates Stadium, bringing you reports on Arsenal against PSV Eindhoven tomorrow night, and then Thursday night a EuroLeague special from 8 o'clock, because loads of British clubs in action in the Europa League and the Europa Conference League. Brighton in their first ever European campaign. So Steve Crossman and the team with an extended show with updates from those games. Ruben Dias to Julian Alvarez. Alvarez through to Haaland, tries to get it back to Alvarez. Falls on the edge of the box here to Dias, who's well forward in the attack. Wide to Walker. Walker's crossing. Haaland attacks it, heads it down, and Glaser denies him. And Haaland slaps his thigh in frustration. And on Saturday it looked like it wasn't going to be his day. and then he scored a goal late. That's another chance he hasn't quite been able to tuck away.
I think that was more difficult. The angle slightly against him. Walker drags the ball back, stands the ball up to the far post. He does the right thing in terms of heading the ball down. He's a couple of yards beyond the far post. This is a brilliant save from Glaser off his left calf and onto the post. Is it going to happen for Erling tonight?
Right, Doku wide on the left now for Manchester City. Plays back to Ake. City wants another. They're leading 2-1. Doku looking for Ake. Angles tight. Cross comes in. Half block. Oh, and then the shot into the side netting from Alvarez. And the chances are starting to come thick and fast. Manchester City leading Red Star by 2-1, and we played 20 minutes in this second half.
There's an underlap, as they call it, from Ake. Doku driving in on the right-hand side. That forward run, it's a feature of Pep Guardiola's teams, and Pep slaps his thighs as well there. Bit of frustration. They just haven't been ruthless enough.
Penalty at Feyenoord. Connie.
It's for the home sides. It was Lager Bielka who looked as though, well, certainly the referee thought it was a foul. He was also on a yellow card, so he's been sent off. And it's been saved. Joe Hart has saved this by the Feyenoord player. Barbarossa did pack, so it's been saved. So it's still Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0. They'll live to fight another day.
Okay, down to 10 men Celtic, trailing by a 1-0, but penalty save. João Felix has Barcelona's 5th against Royal Antwerp. We're with you through until 10:30 this evening on 5 Live Sport and BBC Sounds, and anything you missed tonight in terms of the post-match reaction, the debate, the analysis, the interviews, etc. will all be there in the Football Daily podcast on the BBC Sounds app first thing for you tomorrow morning. Foden trying to get away down the right. He's just taken a little knock and hurt himself here, so he's stopped playing. Red Star looking to use the pace of Bakare. Ake has managed to nick the ball off him, then does really well, sees the challenge coming in and just chips it over the legs of Mihailovic, then plays the ball to the left to Mateusz Nunes, back to Ake, and Ake just slows things down for a second, and I'm just having a look at Phil Foden to see if he's okay. He wants the ball again, so I think he is. There's Diaz in the middle of the Red Star half. Mateusz Nunes back to Rodri to Diaz, first time ball. Here's Foden, 25 yards out, little scoop pass to Haaland, couldn't quite bring it down to try and get the shot away. And Red Star have managed to get this away, and here's Ivanic, tall figure, striding away from Foden. He's made a lot of ground here into the Manchester City half, still going. He's one-on-one with Ruben Diaz, takes him on, drives the shot and slices it wide, and behind it goes for a goal kick.
I tell you what, he's looked bright, hasn't he, in moments tonight, and Ivanic picked the ball up, actually, well inside his own half, saw the space and ran, just shrugged off Phil Foden. Diaz retreated, he kept going and going. Sliced his shot, from 22 yards centrally, wide of Ederson's far post. A couple of changes now for Red Star, but they'll still feel they've got a chance here, you know.
Trailing by 2-1. That is the voice of Chris Sutton on 5 Live
and
him off. BBC Sounds. Who's coming off, Chris? Crasso and Olayinka are coming on. Jean-Philippe Crasso and Peter Olayinka are both coming on. Now, Jean-Philippe Crasso, summer signing from Saint-Etienne, is actually the club's top scorer. Oh, it's Ivanic who's come off, who played that lovely pass.
Was he taking him off?
Well, let's see what the other fellas have got to offer, you know.
That's a strange substitution in my book.
Sheriff and Jai, centre forward, is the other player coming off. So it's Crasso and Olayinka on for Ivanic and Njai. We are midway through the second half here at the Etihad Stadium. The European champions got a bit of a scare at the end of the first half. The goal from Osman Bakuri in added time at the end of the first half put Red Star in front, but Julian Alvarez has scored twice in the second half to put Manchester City 2-1 in front. The question is, how much longer is Erling Haaland going to be out there, and is he going to get a goal this evening? Is he going to get a goal this evening? I'm going to say yes.
Oh, that's you deserve a bravery award there, don't you, dear me.
Diaz up towards Foden. Foden with the outside of his left foot finds Rodri. Rodri plays it to his right hand side. Alvarez looking for Haaland. Headed away by Giga. Ake comes scurrying towards us to collect the loose ball. Has time to play the pass to Doku. Doku's licking his lips here because he's running at Mihailovic. Takes him on the inside. Plays it back. Doku gets the return pass, and his shot with the left foot is blocked by the goalkeeper. Headed away by Bakari. But Manchester City collect that loose ball. Diaz to Ake. Ake down the left here to Mateusz Nunes. Haaland looking at the far post. Here is Mateus Nunes, a little bit of skill, down to the byline, and shot is blocked, and behind it goes for a corner.
Yeah, good weaving run from Mateus Nunes. He's had a decent game tonight, knitting things together, shaping up to shoot with that right foot, chopping back, winning the corner.
20 minutes to go in the second half. It's a final score night tonight on 5 Live and BBC Sounds, as it will be tomorrow night for Bayern Munich against Manchester United. Alvarez's corner in, and Diaz tried to get the header away, and he's nodded it well wide, and it's gone behind for the goal kick. So if you want to listen to our commentary but stay across all the other scores and sort of see them visually, so those final score graphics and the video printer, the way you do that is the red button, or you go to the BBC iPlayer or the BBC Sport app and you click on 5 Live final score. So you can do that tonight, you can do that tomorrow night. Another red card in the game between Feyenoord and Celtic. Connie McLaughlin.
Unbelievably, Celtic are down to 9 men. It's still Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0, by the way, but it was Odenholm who's come on as a substitute. He's only been on the pitch for about 10 minutes. High challenge on Veffer. The referee, no option, straight red card. So Celtic going to struggle to get themselves back into this one, I think. 1-0 Feyenoord.
Bristol City 4, Plymouth 1 in the Championship. Cardiff now lead Coventry by 3 goals to 1, and Celtic down to 9 men, Chris.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know.
They're probably going to lose this game, Bruce. They're losing and down to 9 men.
Yeah, okay.
So that doesn't bode well.
Oh, there's been a goal. Now then, which way's it gone, Connie?
I just said it's gone from bad to worse. It's now even worse. It's Feyenoord 2, Celtic 0. It's Gertrude. A moment of just collapse in concentration from the Celtic defence. Allowed in Gertrude into the back of the net, sent Joe Hart the wrong way, and it looks as if it's game over. Feyenoord 2, Celtic 0.
Chris Sutton called it, top punditry. Kyle Walker, curling cross from the right, beyond everyone. Doku can't keep it in, and out it goes for a throw-in to Red Star. So 20 minutes to play here. Manchester City 2, Red Star 1. And Celtic's next game in that Champions League group is at home against Lazio, who are behind against Atletico tonight in the Stadio Olimpico.
That's if they've got enough players to put out on the pitch all the sendings off.
Kyle Walker, middle of the Red Star half, bringing the ball forward, then turns, plays it to Alvarez, back it comes to Akanji.
He's been so good tonight, Alvarez, hasn't he? Playing really deep at times. When he signed for Manchester City, you're thinking an absolute number 9 playing between the centre halves, but taking up some really good positions, played in behind Haaland and done it very well.
Doku into that Red Star penalty area, goes on the outside, drags it back onto his right foot, 2 men in front of him, plays it back to Mateus Nunes. He goes for a little dribble, finds his path blocked. Doku looking for a 1-2 with Foden. Foden being forced out of the penalty area, plays it back to Rodri. Rodri turns, now facing goal, curling effort, bottom corner from Rodri, who scored that winner in the Champions League final last season, and he gets his Champions League account up and running this season. Lovely curler. Manchester City 3, Red Star 1.
Oh, just such brilliant awareness from Rodri. Sees the space, drives into it, left-hand side of the box. See what he's going to try and do with that right foot. Feed the ball into the far corner, and boy, does he do it well. Such an accomplished finish. Red Star have got deeper and deeper. Foden running back towards his own goal. Rodri just drifts past. I think it's Crasso, in fact, initially, and he's not engaged. And he just gets his head up and bends the ball in beautifully. Curled into the far corner from just inside the box, 17 yards out. No chance for Glazer. 3-1, game over.
Manchester City 3, Red Star 1. Celtic not out of it just yet, Connie.
Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0. That goal that I just told you about a moment ago doesn't stand. The goal was checked and it was deemed to be offside. So is this the lifeline Celtic have been waiting for? They've got about 18 minutes or so left in this one. It's Feyenoord 1, Celtic 0. Remember, they're still down to 9 men.
9 men, Celtic 2 men sent off. We've got about 18 minutes left in this one as well. And Manchester City look like they are home and ho. So let's see how they approach the last 15 minutes of this game. They're leading 3-1. Nathan Ake playing the ball across the face of his own penalty area.
It's the high press from Red Star now, and you just sense when it becomes like this, trouble.
Erling Haaland thinking, I might still get my goal tonight. Ball fired out to Doku. Couldn't quite bring that under his control wide on the left. Cleared by the Red Star goalkeeper Glaser. Up towards Bakari. Ake wrestles with him. Ake is just too strong for Bakari. And here comes City with Foden. Foden, great run from Alvarez. Clever little touch as well. Pulled back for Haaland, couldn't get the touch on it. But it runs to Kyle Walker, who comes speeding into view on the right-hand side. Plays it back here to Foden, who's alert to the opportunity. Left-footed curler from him just over the bar and behind for a goal kick.
Initially, the run of Alvarez, a forward run, driving and pulling the ball back to Haaland. Dragovic, Red Star centre-half, did well, went shoulder to shoulder with Haaland. He didn't allow Haaland to get contact on the ball, but Foden, you cannot let him inside on that left foot and have a free shot. That's what the Red Star defence did, and he wasn't far away.
Port Vale 2, Burton 3, latest score in League One with 4 minutes plus added time to go there. So Port Vale have dragged themselves back into it. Manchester City leading Red Star by 3-1. Crasso is tackled on the halfway line. Now he's trying to get back and make a challenge on Doku, who's short and stocky but strong, and holds him off and plays the ball to Mateusz Nunes. Nice little 1-2, 2-1-2s, 3-1-2s between him and Foden, and then Foden just dinks a pass back to Diaz. Diaz to Mateusz Nunes. Rodri, scorer of the third goal, just gets his toe trodden on there, hops away in pain, and the referee isn't going to give a free kick. That will be a throw. He can just do everything, can't he, Rodri? And you know, like you were saying, Chris, with the finish, but he's just such a complete footballer for Manchester City, isn't he? And there he is, playing a lovely pass down the left for Doku, just keeps it in down by the byline. He's inside the penalty area. Foden with a first-time ball, and Haaland again was looking. Manchester City win it back off Red Star just outside the penalty area and recycle and go again.
Great commentary from you there. He can do anything, and then to play that wonderful weighted pass on the left-hand side. Not a lot of space to clip the ball into, but just like a little sand wedge there, Bruce.
Yeah.
The backspin, Doku onto it.
You mentioned, didn't you, Calvin Phillips sitting on that Manchester City bench. One sub-appearance so far this season. That's the man he's got to try and battle with for his place, but he very rarely misses games and just doesn't seem to be getting a chance, does Calvin Phillips.
Very difficult for him, and Manchester City are winning everything.
Mateusz Nunes looking for Haaland, leaps high but gets right underneath the header, leaves defender in a heap beneath him, but the ball goes high and over the bar and behind for a goal kick. Another goal at Feyenoord, Connie McLaughlin.
Yeah, it looks as if this one will stand. It's Feyenoord 2, Celtic 0. Jan Mash off the bench to deliver the second goal for the home side. Rifled it into the back of the net by the Iranian. He made absolutely no mistakes. It looks as though the points will stay in Holland. Feyenoord 2, Celtic 0.
Vladimir Lucic is coming on for Red Star, so that's another change for them. Stefan Mitrovic, who was the left winger, is coming off, so Lucic is going to replace him on the left-hand side. Red Star taking the lead tonight just before half-time, but now trailing Manchester City by 3-1. But here they come on the attack, and that is Olayinka with the ball on the right-hand side, one-on-one with Akanji. Manchester City trying to get back in numbers. Ball given away by Olayinka. Foden plays the ball back into his own penalty area, then Ederson just chips it away, and Foden has got the desire and the pace and the energy to get there down the right, and Hwang tries to take him out of the game with a really crude challenge, but Foden rides it, and Foden's got Haaland ahead of him and can't find the ball round the defender to get it to Haaland inside the penalty area. Update from Deepdale, Lee Blakeman.
Preston 2, Birmingham 1 into 9 minutes of stoppage time. Preston just nearly wrapped it up through Dwayne Holmes. Spectacular effort, 30 yards out, tipped over well by John Ruddy. Preston 2, Birmingham 1.
What about Southampton Ipswich, Sahel Sahi?
Yeah, we're into 7 minutes of time added on at the end of this game. Alistair, Southampton 0, Ipswich 1. Ipswich comfortable at the moment, but as you'd expect, Southampton are piling forward in search of the equaliser. Southampton 0, Ipswich 1.
Now here's Chris's favourite, Milan Rodic, bringing the ball forward, attacking for Red Star down the left-hand side, worked out to the left. There's the substitute, Lucic, twisting and turning, gets the cross in. Manchester City will clear the ball away. Naz Premji at Hillsborough.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 1, 14 to go to the finish, and Middlesbrough a lot better second period. Wednesday clinging on. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Haaland's laid the ball off to Alvarez. Haaland lurking on the edge of the Red Star penalty area. Manchester City leading by 3-1 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Doku on the dribble into the box, right-footed shot, thuds into the chest of Giga and goes out for a throw-in to Manchester City. Chris.
Mihailovic The Red Star defender has to engage Doku, can't allow him to come into the box as he did do and chop inside on that right foot of his. That's what he's looking to do. Red Star get the block, but now it's comfortable for Manchester City. We know under Pep they carry on and try and be absolutely ruthless.
QPR with a late equaliser from Lyndon Dykes at home against Swansea, 1-1. That's gone in the 92nd minute of the game. Feyenoord leads Celtic 2-0. Barcelona 5 up on Royal Antwerp. Porto 3-1 up at Shakhtar. Paris Saint-Germain 2-0 up on Dortmund. And in Celtic's group, Atletico 1-0 up away to Lazio. Leipzig won 3-1 in this group away to Young Boys. Manchester City leading 3-1 here. Here's Alvarez on a hat-trick, but he's looking for his strike partner Haaland in the middle. Can't find him. Stamanic plays it to Bakary. Bakary's ball forward is chased by Olayinka. Diaz gets there first and plays it back to his goalkeeper Ederson. Heading into the last 10 minutes of this game. And Ederson all in green away to our right with his big white gloved hands. Fires a pass up the middle of the pitch to Foden, which he couldn't quite control, and it might turn into a chance for Crasso, but he showed too much of that to Ake. Gets a foot on the ball and clears. Red Star waiting to make another change. A lot of space for them here on the right hand side. This is Crasso into the Manchester City penalty area. Top scorer for Red Star so far this season, and it's a scuffed attempt from Bakary. First time edge of the box, and Manchester City just hack it away down into the Red Star half.
Yeah, but it's comfortable for Manchester City now. 3-1 ahead. There's back four now, Manchester City, but they're quite fluid with it. But Diaz and Ake and Akanji all very, very mobile, pacey, can get back and make challenges. They're happy to be left in 1v1 situations. Well, I don't know whether they're happy about it, but they can certainly deal with those situations.
Manchester City's next game in this group away to Leipzig. Doku challenged just inside the Red Star half. The referee was trying to play an advantage, didn't see one, and that is a yellow card for the 21-year-old New Zealand international Marko Stamanic. Born in Wellington, Serbian father, Samoan mother, New Zealand international. Actually played against Manchester City in the Champions League group stages last season, playing for FC Copenhagen. Lost 5-0 here, drew 0-0 at home. So a couple of changes coming for Red Star. I can see Kings Kangwa coming on in central midfield, and Miloš Degenek, the Australian international defender, is coming on into the back line. There'll be 3 changes for Manchester City late in the game here. So we're going to see the young Norwegian Oscar Bob, who's already made a couple of substitute appearances in the Premier League so far this season. Rico Lewis is coming on as well, and Calvin Phillips, who we were just talking about, will come on and get the last 10 minutes for Manchester City. So Phil Foden is one to come off. Who else? Let's have a look. Rodri. So Calvin Phillips will replace Rodri in the heart of the Manchester City midfield. And Bob is on, and Lewis is on, and Lewis is replacing Diaz. So if you manage to keep across all of that at home, listening, 5 changes in the space of a couple of minutes. Manchester City still leading Red Star by 3-1, and it is going to be another winning start to a Champions League campaign for the holders of this competition. By the way, talking the podcast on the BBC Sounds app, do have a listen to this week's Monday Night Club. Very enjoyable listen on my drive up to Manchester yesterday. It was a lively one, wasn't it, Chris? Lots of Champions League chat.
There was some
great calls, mate. You just got to listen to it, haven't you?
Yeah, some surprising moments, yes. I think we could say. Take a listen and make your own mind up. Absolutely. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. So Manchester City leading 3-1. They've made their 3 changes. Calvin Phillips gets a first touch, cruising across the halfway line.
I said earlier, I wonder how he felt last season. Manchester City mopping up most of the trophies, but he wouldn't have felt part of it. I'm sure of that. You know, he trains with them every day, but didn't have the game time which I'm sure he felt he would have had when he first arrived at the club. But you've got to earn the right to get into this Manchester City team, but clearly something's amiss because Pep doesn't play him regularly.
No, gets very few opportunities so far, and sometimes it takes players a season to settle at Manchester City, but at the start of this season it seems to be the same at the moment. 5 Live and BBC Sounds with you through until 10:30 this evening, digesting everything that's gone on in the Champions League and the other football today. The ball is chipped in towards the edge of the penalty area. Mateus Nunes plays it back here to Oscar Bob. He's got Rico Lewis outside him, but it's played back to Mateus Nunes again. Bit of space for him to work with on the right. Lays the ball back, and there's the strike comes in, and the goalkeeper very nearly spills that one into the back of the net. Sort of slips through his hands like a bar of soap and goes behind for a corner.
Well described. It was Bob going away from goal, and Hazard actually, the ball was straight at him. He actually started to dive to his left-hand side and just about did enough to get it over the bar.
Cardiff 3, Coventry 2. Very late goal has gone in that game, but Cardiff still leading. Peterborough 3, Cheltenham 0 in League One. Full times coming your way in the Championship. Ake's header easily saved. First of those comes at Southampton. I know Chris Sutton's going to be desperate to know how Ipswich have got on. Sohail Sahi.
They've won, Alistair. Southampton 0, Ipswich 1. A very professional display from Ipswich then. Amari Hutchinson's goal in the first half proved to be the winner. Their 100% away record remains intact, and Southampton, after a wonderful August, are having a woeful September. Full-time Southampton 0, Ipswich 1.
What about the leaders, Preston? Lee Blakeman.
6 wins in a row for them, beating Birmingham this time by 2-1. They all came in the second half. Birmingham ahead through Stansfield. Preston level just after via an own goal before Milutin Osmajic got the winner with his first for the club. Preston stay top. Preston 2, Birmingham 1.
5 minutes to play here. Manchester City leading Red Star by 3-1 as they start this defence of their Champions League title, trying to win it back-to-back. Calvin Phillips has given the ball away. He's trying to make amends for that error. Goes back and has a little hack with his left foot at Crasso and concedes the free kick. Bristol City 4, Plymouth 1. Full-time score in the Championship. We've just heard that Preston have beaten Birmingham 2-1. Ipswich have won 1-0 at Southampton. It's finished QPR 1, Swansea 1. Still playing Cardiff Coventry. Cardiff leading Coventry by 3-2. And the 8 o'clock kickoff still 1-1. That is Sheffield Wednesday against Middlesbrough. Free kick for Red Star, wide on the right, conceded by Calvin Phillips and delivered by Crasso with his left foot. Ake heads the ball away, drops on the edge of the Manchester City penalty, and suddenly there's a blur of light blue as they go speeding up the field, but Kings Kangwa wins the ball back from Oscar Bob. Played wide to Ollie Yinka. Ollie Yinka, the number 14 for Red Star, just rolls a pass into the Manchester City penalty area. Comes back here to Kangwa. Kangwa in turn comes back to Mihailovic, still inside the Manchester City half. Work wide to Ollie Yinka in his orange boots on the right. Has a little run to Kangwa, down by the byline, fires the cross in low. Intercepted at the near post. Doku tries to run out from the back and wins Manchester City a throw-in. 3 minutes plus added time to go. Manchester City leading Red Star by 3-1. And next up, Nottingham Forest, the visitors here on Saturday, 3 o'clock commentary on 5 Live. Then midweek next week, they're away to Newcastle and Manchester City in the League Cup. Then it's Wolves away, Leipzig away, Arsenal away. So lots of away games in quick succession leading into the next international break. Nathan Ake getting ready to launch a throw down the left-hand touchline, headed forward by Mihailovic. Phillips cushions a pass to Doku. 2 red and white shirted players in front of him. Doku, though, will hold them off and then open play up by firing a ball into the space, big open space on the right, and Rico Lewis is running at this Red Star defence. Lewis into that penalty area, then lays it off here to Bob and didn't put enough on the pass, and Red Star are easily able to clear down the left to Lucic. Lucic on his own. Calvin Phillips looks to make the challenge. Red Star keep it and work it nicely across to the right, and then Crasso tried to play the pass further right, intercepted in the middle of the park by Mateus Nunes, and back to Edison. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, the game has got a little bit scrappy. I think the number of substitutions haven't helped. Manchester City have certainly lost a bit of their rhythm. They've done enough to win the game, and Pepper's got a bit of a frustrated figure. suited tonight, Pep, isn't he?
Yeah, Champions League, Chris. European champions first night.
Bit of respect.
Yeah,
he's got a roll neck on, though.
Lovely.
Are you a fan of the roll neck?
Well, I couldn't rock one. I couldn't wear one. I wouldn't look good in one, but he does look. But I mean, he looks good in everything, doesn't he?
Why couldn't you wear one?
It doesn't suit me, Chris. I don't know why. But
Not got much of a neck, have you?
I just think the open neck shirt suits me a little better. Ball is chipped into midfield by Stamanic. We're in the 90th minute of the game. Peterborough have beaten Cheltenham 3-0 in League One. Port Vale started the night in second place in League One, but they've been beaten at home by Burton by 3-2, and it's just blown full time at Oakwell. Barnsley 2, Portsmouth 3, full time in League One. All the reports, reaction on its way for you here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Will Haaland get his goal? No, he's not going to get the chance here. Phillips was about to try and release him, but there was a foul there, and so Red Star will get a free kick. So how much added time are we going to get at the end of the second half? It's gone very quiet, hasn't it, inside the stadium. Manchester City have done the job, and there was a little bit of jeopardy, wasn't there, Chris, at half time, because they were a goal down, but they came out very quickly, got the equaliser and done the business.
Well, what they have had to do, champions of Europe, they've had to work for it, and they've had such a great start to the season, dominated the first half, hit with a bit of a sucker punch, but essentially shown why they're champions of Europe. Really good response.
Mihailovic with the cross from the right is just beyond Lucic inside the Manchester City penalty area. It goes out for a throw-in all the way over on the other side of the field. So 3.5 minutes to play here at the Etihad Stadium, and Manchester City leading Red Star by 3-1.
I suppose the one downside of this evening, Bernardo Silva just pulling up before half-time, and the squad is quite thin now, isn't it?
That's a really good point, Chris, actually, because if you look, Stone's not involved tonight, Kovacic not involved tonight, Grealish not involved tonight, and Kevin De Bruyne are out long-term. And he likes to work, doesn't he, with a relatively small squad, and obviously has loads and loads of talented youngsters, but...
well, now with the games thick and fast, it's going to be a test of the squad, but I mean, I think we've had these conversations before. They always seem to find a way to cope.
Yes, treble winners last season and have won 5 of the last 6 Premier League titles. Leading Red Star 3-1. Celtic on their way to a 2-0 defeat, finishing with 9 men away to
sounds
final.
Like they've been on the back of a couple of dodgy decisions.
Alvarez's ball to Haaland, couldn't control it, but Manchester City get lucky because it runs to Doku. Doku bringing it in from the left. Trickery again from him, just trying to tee himself up for a right-footed strike, but lays it back to Mateus Nunes. Nunes inside that Red Star penalty area. Doku makes a little dart, looks for the cutback. Haaland stretches. He's flat on his front inside the penalty area. Appeals for a penalty. Referee waves those claims away. Red Star still trying to get the ball away, and eventually it goes behind for a goal kick. 3-1 to Manchester City.
Yeah, all arms and legs. Erling Haaland not very happy at all. I think it was the sub Australian Degenek who just does enough. Doku left-footed cross. Let's have a look. And yeah, Degenek stands his ground. Haaland tries to get round him. Good battle that. Good battle of strength. And Haaland shake of the head. Disappointed he is not to get his goal this evening.
Last 2 minutes of the game. Akanji bravely goes in to win a header. The ball's dropping midway inside the Manchester City half. So Erling Haaland with his 1 goal against West Ham on Saturday. Could have scored 5 or 6. Could easily have scored 3 or 4 this evening, but hasn't managed to get on the score sheet.
He'll score 8 at the weekend, won't he? He'll be angry.
Yes. Nottingham Forest, the visitors, for our 3 o'clock Saturday commentary. Brilliant from Doku, and he's got real pace, but he's going to cut infield from the left-hand side. Just inside the Manchester City half. Not enough pace on the pass from Calvin Phillips. Slows the move up a little bit. Rico Lewis plays it to Oscar Bob. Oscar Bob, edge of the penalty area. Haaland lays it back into his bar. Bob just being forced across to the left-hand side and then can't get the ball back to Doku. Not enough accuracy on the pass. 1 minute to go here at the Etihad Stadium, and Manchester City with some late defending to do. Oli Yinka, the Nigerian, taking on Nathan Ake, who's back in that left-back position for Manchester City. Doku is back there to help out, tries to get the tackle in, does really well for his team, and Manchester City get themselves the goal kick. So it looks like 2 goals from Julian Alvarez.
Or was it 2?
Well, he's gone down on the old video printer. I'm giving it to him, Chris. I don't think that was
going in.
I do.
our angle. You do?
I really do. I think it was just going to have enough curl on it to hit just to kiss the inside of the post and nestle. But you could be right. But the point we're making is the goalkeeper made a horrendous error for that second Manchester City goal, didn't he?
The old life of the goalkeeper.
Yes. And there it is, all over. Little scare for the European champions tonight, because Red Star Belgrade scored their goal in added time at the end of the first half. Really well taken. But within just over a minute at the start of the second half, Julian Alvarez got Manchester City back level. Then the free kick, which ended up in the back of the net, which looked like an easy punch clearance for the goalkeeper. That made it 2-1. Rodri wrapped it up with the third. Erling Haaland could have had a hatful, but he'll save the goals for another day, and someone else is going to be in for a hiding. And Manchester City get the defence of their Champions League crown, Chris Sutton, off to a winning start.
Yeah, I don't think Red Star were red hot in the first half. Manchester City wasteful, weren't they, with their opportunities, Haaland in particular, but Red Star went in front, just before half-time. Really well taken goal. Manchester City responded, as great teams do early in the second half. Alvarez, who had a superb game, great link up with Haaland. Glazer gaff really from the free kick from Alvarez. I thought it was an own goal. You gave it to Alvarez. I'm not going to argue with you. And then a wonderful goal from Rodri for the third goal. The perfect start for Manchester City.
The unbeaten run in Europe at home stretches to 27 games. 125 drawn 2. They were behind tonight, as they were against West Ham at the weekend. But they had plenty in the tank to see them through. Manchester City have beaten Red Star by 3-1.
Ali and Chris, thank you very much. Chris, I know you enjoyed the half-time statistics when Red Star were leading by a 0-0 with one shot, and that was the one that was the goal. They managed 3 with 2 of them on target across the whole 90 minutes. Listen to this from Man City, though. 77% possession, 37 shots, 16 shots on target, and they had 12 corners in the game as well. But it was just a dominant performance from them. It felt as though this victory, this comfortable victory was coming, even in the first half when they didn't really hit the heights that they're capable of.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They are just absolutely relentless, aren't they? I mean, this is the norm for Manchester City. They're so dominant in the Premier League. They were dominant in the Champions League last season. The worry for, I think, everybody else across Europe and in the Premier League is I think maybe we expected they didn't have a great deal of time off in the summer, and I think we expected them to come back and just maybe ease the way into the season and maybe slow starters, and it's been the complete opposite, hasn't it? They've been on fire from the start of the season. The one worry is, and I mentioned it towards the end of the game, their squad isn't the biggest squad anyway, and they are a little bit thin now with Bernardo Silva, who went off just before half-time, but they always find a way of coping, don't they?
Yeah, it's a squad that maybe seems bigger than it is because the players within it are so flexible and so adaptable, and he can use them in different positions. But he's always at pains to say, Pep Guardiola, that he doesn't like to have a huge number of first-team players in that squad. And one of them, Julian Alvarez, with I don't know how many goals you're given, 1 or 2 goals, depending on what you're going to award him this evening. But either way, in terms of that number 10 role, is he, I mean, we'll have time to talk about this a lot more between now and 10:30, but is he kind of nailing down that position for them?
Oh, I mean, I thought when he first signed for Manchester City, I hadn't, seen a lot of him, but I thought he would, was going to come and try and play in between the centre-halves and play high up, but he's shown his versatility and what an excellent footballer he is. It was Haaland who played highest up, and he dropped in that number 10 role, took up some really intelligent positions, and he's so good on the half turn. I mean, his goal was brilliant the way it was worked. Ball into Haaland, followed his run, and then really superbly quick feet to go around the goalkeeper and pop it in. But really intelligent player. Made forward runs at times as well, and I mean it's ominous. And what have we learned over the years from Pep Guardiola's teams? He sort of reinvents them every season. Players come in and sort of find a way and hit the ground running. And Alvarez has done that at the start of this season, and it looks like they are at this moment in time, Haaland and Alvarez. That is Pep's preferred option.
And we shall see how that pans out across the course of this Champions League campaign as Manchester City, the holders, get underway with a 3-1 victory against Red Star Belgrade at the Etihad. We'll reflect on that more between now and 10.